On the third day of my business trip, I accidentally opened my boyfriend's Twitter alt account. Coincidentally, he had posted a status just seconds ago: "The greatest regret in life is meeting the girl you want to take care of forever, right before your wedding." The text was accompanied by a secretly taken photo of a young woman wearing a floral dress. Her name is Betty, my boyfriend's junior, sweet and innocent, 10 years younger than me. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. I stared at my phone screen, momentarily dazed. My boss beside me nudged me discreetly with his elbow. "What are you spacing out for? Pay attention to the client meeting. Go over the proposal again, you'll be presenting soon. So make a good impression." I immediately put my phone back in my bag and gave the boss a thumbs up. "Don't worry, we'll nail it this time." After the meeting, the boss told me to grab lunch quickly, would be heading to the factory site in half an hour. I took out my phone, ready to call for food delivery. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted that damn app again. I couldn't resist and clicked on my boyfriend's alternate account again. That post had already been deleted. Just then, my best friend's call came through. "Girl, you finally picked up." My best friend's exaggerated voice rang out on the other end. "Do you have any idea what I just saw? Your little scholar was shopping at the supermarket with a young woman, buying 2 full bags of groceries and meat, chatting and laughing together. I secretly followed them all the way, and they entered your residential complex. My God, he actually took her into your marital home." Ashley, how could you not say a word about such a big matter? I rested my forehead in my hand and smiled bitterly. "Big sis, I'd love to say something, but you keep chattering away without giving me a chance." "Bestie, hold on, I took photos of that woman, I'll send them to you." Ding dong, my bestie instantly sent over several photos. The angle was tricky, clearly taken without permission, yet the faces were captured with striking clarity. The man wore frameless glasses, looking refined and handsome, my boyfriend of 8 years Bartley. And that girl, she was slightly thin, radiating youthful sweetness. Her name is Betty, my boyfriend's junior and fellow townsfolk, now a senior at University A. My best friend asked urgently. "Did you see?" I hummed in response. My best friend got angry. "Just a whom?" I smiled helplessly. "Then what do you think I should do?" My best friend was practically rubbing her hands together in excitement over the phone. "You should come back right now, smash that homewrecker's head in, and parade that cheating bastard through the streets in his underwear." I massaged my throbbing temples. "First of all, I'm on a business trip right now. If this deal goes through, I'll get promoted when I get back. I really can't leave. Secondly, we still don't have proof they're actually having an affair. Going back now might be a wasted trip. Finally, even if we confirm they're sleeping together, so what? Going back would just mean making a scene. Bella, breaking off an engagement isn't something you can resolve easily. It takes enormous time, energy, and emotional toll. That bastard might make me shed a pound of tears. But my job can buy me a Louis Vuitton bag. Which option would you choose?" My best friend sighed. "I know all the reasoning, but I just think you deserve better. You've been with him for so many years, supported him through 2 postgraduate entrance exams, then through his PhD, during his prep days. You cooked him nutritious meals every single day. If he dares to wrong you, I'll fucking ruin him." I laughed. "I knew you'd have my back. I'll bring you some treats when I get back." Hanging up the phone, I stood there frozen. My nose tingled with the threat of tears about to burst through. I clenched my teeth, gripping my phone tightly as I struggled to hold back. After composing myself for a few minutes, I forced a smile and took out my phone to order food. I needed to eat well. There was plenty of work ahead in the afternoon. This business trip had gone smoothly, and we'd secured a major order. I was successfully promoted to sales director. 3 days later, I returned to City S with my boss. Recognizing my hard work and significant contributions, my boss specially granted me 2 days off. He arranged for the driver to take me home. I smiled and said no need. My boyfriend would come pick me up by car, dragging my large suitcase. I made 3 calls and sent 5 WeChat messages to Bartley at the airport. He never responded. The early March rain fell on people, its chill needling deep into the bones like icy pins, helplessly. I had to take a taxi home by myself. Entering the password to open the door, I was greeted by a strong aroma of cooked food. 4 dishes were already laid out on the table. Bartley was wearing an apron and stir-frying in the kitchen, and on the sofa lay a strange middle-aged man in his 50s. He looked somewhat haggard, with graying hair, asleep with a still-lit cigarette pinched between 2 fingers. A long cylinder of ash had formed, then plopped down onto the pure white shag carpet. I slammed the door shut, startling the middle-aged man awake. The middle-aged man sat up, stubbed out his cigarette in the ashtray, rubbed his bleary eyes, glanced at the wedding photo on the wall, then looked at me. "You are The man stood up smiling. "You must be Bartley's girlfriend Ashley." He heard the noise. Bartley came out holding a spatula. Seeing me, he looked surprised and blurted out, "Weren't you on a business trip?" He naturally walked over, helped pull my suitcase inside, and introduced me. "This gentleman is Betty's father." He took out a spare pair of men's slippers from the shoe cabinet and placed them by my feet. "Betty's mom has been hospitalized recently, and the hospital happens to be just 2 stops away from our place. Betty and her uncle are taking turns caring for her at night, so they'll be staying with us for a few days." I responded with a faint Bartley, needing to tend to the stir-fry on the stove, hurried back to the kitchen. I wheeled my suitcase into the master bedroom. The warm light in the master bedroom's bathroom was on, accompanied by the sound of running water, like a muffled punch straight to my heart. The sound of water stopped. Moments later, the door opened from inside. A girl in cotton pajamas stepped out, drying her hair, her fair face still misty from the steam, like a jasmine blossom freshly washed by winter rain, fresh and pure. Betty froze when she saw me. "Betty, weren't you on a business trip?" "Look." The exact same words as Bartley. I lowered my gaze and saw she was wearing pink bunny slippers, the pair I kept for my own use. Betty shifted uncomfortably, taking a few steps back as she stammered, "I don't know if Senior mentioned it earlier, but my mother's been hospitalized. The hospital room doesn't have shower facilities, so I borrowed your bathroom." Just then, Bartley's voice called out, "Dinner's ready." 4 dishes and a soup graced the table, each perfectly presented with vibrant colors, enticing aromas, and exquisite flavors, all prepared by Bartley. After 8 years together, he'd never cooked a proper meal. Instant noodles were his limit. I never knew he had this skill hidden away. The atmosphere at the table was somewhat awkward. The Carlton family exchanged glances silently as they ate. Bartley placed a piece of braised pork in my bowl. "Did your business trip go smoothly?" I nodded, "Quite smoothly." "Bartley, why didn't you tell me you were back? I could have picked you up." I chewed on the meat. I called. "But you didn't answer." Bartley paused, then laughed. "Oh, my phone was charging. It was noisy in the kitchen at that time, so I didn't hear it." Another suffocating silence followed. Betty's dad chuckled and said, "Ashley, you're really lucky to meet a good kid like Bartley, highly educated, considerate, and can cook too. There aren't many good men like him these days." I pulled out my phone from my pocket and opened the group buying app. "Uncle, I booked a hotel for you. It's conveniently located, just minutes from the hospital." Betty's dad silently put down his chopsticks and turned his head away. Bartley gently nudged me. "Auntie will be discharged soon. Uncle's just going through a rough patch. It's only a few days staying with us." I waved my phone. "I've solved the difficulty. They can stay at a hotel." Bartley felt his pride wounded and said irritably, "Was it really necessary to make such a fuss over such a small matter?" I faced him directly. "And what about you? This is our marital home. It took a year to decorate and half a year to air out. I, the bride-to-be, haven't even lived here for 2 weeks yet. My slippers haven't even warmed up, and you let outsiders stay without even consulting me." Bartley clenched his fists angrily. "What outsiders? They're my hometown friends, and Ashley is even my junior from school." At this moment, the previously silent Betty put down her chopsticks. "I'm sorry, Ms. Ashley." Her eyes reddened as she stood up, tugging at her father's sleeve. "I apologize for moving in without informing you first." With these words, she bowed deeply. Betty's dad sighed and bowed to me as well. The middle-aged man's back was hunched, his face filled with embarrassment and frustration. "I'm sorry, Ms. Ashley." For a brief moment, my heart softened a little. I also wondered if I had been too aggressive. Betty wiped away her tears and said with a sob, "I've troubled you these past few days. My mother is still in the hospital. We'll leave now." Bartley hurried to console her. "Betty, don't cry. Ashley didn't mean it that way. We're not kicking you out." I withdrew my earlier kindness. "No, I meant exactly that. I don't like strangers living in my marital home." Betty glanced at me, then pulled her father away to pack their things. Minutes later, the father-daughter pair changed their shoes and left with their luggage. Bartley still hurried after them, trying to apologize. "It's still raining outside. Wait, let me grab a coat for you. Meet me in the underground parking." Escorting Betty and her father to the elevator, Bartley returned home to fetch his car keys. Standing in the entryway staring fixedly at me, I sat at the dining table, gazing calmly at the 4 dishes and soup laid out, though my hands trembled uncontrollably beneath the table. "Ashley, how did you become so cold-hearted?" Bartley glared at me. "If you want to blame someone, blame me. Why embarrass others?" Betty's dad is an honest taxi driver who was secretly wiping away tears earlier. "You're being way too overbearing." I let out a cold laugh. "Don't try to guilt-trip me. If they had talked to me beforehand, I might have agreed, but ultimately, This is your fault. You went behind my back and made decisions without consulting me, so you'll have to face the consequences. Bartley, caught off guard by my counterattack, snapped angrily, Betty is too timid and naive to dare speak to you. Besides, it's not even a big deal. Timid, naive, I remember it was about 4 months ago. At 11 o'clock at night, when Bartley and I were about to have some intimate time, I had just finished showering. Then I saw Bartley looking both apologetic and embarrassed, saying he wasn't in the right state tonight, couldn't get it up, and maybe we should try another day. With him saying that, how could I possibly force him? Half an hour later, I fell asleep. Bartley quietly lifted the blanket and went to the study to video call Betty. He asked, "Which problem are you stuck on?" Betty said sweetly, "This one. I feel like my thinking keeps hitting a wall. It's over. I'm afraid I'll flunk the math section of the grad school entrance exam." Bartley said extremely gently, "It's all right. We'll take it step by step." Betty, are you asleep? Is it too late for me to ask you questions? I hope I'm not disturbing you. Bartley hurriedly replied, "Not at all. Your Betty has been busy with work and went to bed early," while explaining the problem. I noticed Bartley secretly taking a few screenshots of Betty. I used to convince myself otherwise. Even ordinary couples face the 7-year itch, let alone us with 8 years. No one is perfect. I allowed him occasional distractions. I wouldn't confront him, as long as he kept his boundaries, corrected himself promptly, and still loved me. But when boundaries were crossed step by step, until now, I can't even pretend anymore. Look at how coldly he's staring at me now, at this point. I don't want to say another word. Bartley glared at me, grabbed his car keys and hurried out. The house was finally quiet. Looking at the cold food before me, I suddenly burst out laughing. As I laughed, I began to cry. Though I hadn't drunk any alcohol, my head felt dizzy, as if I were drunk. I dialed my best friend Bella's number. "Hello." I barely got one word out before bursting into tears. My best friend kept asking urgently, "What's wrong? Don't cry. Ashley, you're home, aren't you? Did you catch him cheating? That bastard Bartley really had an affair." "Wait there, I'm coming right over," I quickly said. "Don't." On the phone, I briefly told my best friend about what had happened at home. My best friend listened quietly the whole time. "That damn bastard," she couldn't help cursing. "He's clearly the one who did wrong, yet he turns around and accuses you of being domineering. What a scumbag." Choking back tears, I gave a bitter laugh. "Tell me, do all men just prefer younger women?" My best friend scoffed. "He's too shallow, not worthy of an outstanding, mature woman like you." I curled up in my chair and remained silent for a long time. In the past, I always thought he was the stereotypical STEM guy, too rational, too blunt, completely lacking romance. I remember 2 years ago when I had a miscarriage, he made me chicken soup and burned his hand red. I was so moved, even though I knew he just stewed some frozen chicken legs from the supermarket. He was going to another province for an academic conference and asked if I'd be okay home alone. I said I'd mostly recovered and it was fine. He ordered me takeout before really leaving. Today I saw him make 4 dishes and a soup, rushing anxiously after that young girl. So it turns out that STEM guys aren't incapable of romance, they just don't direct it at me. On the other end of the line, my best friend lit a cigarette and exhaled slowly. From how they're acting, I don't think they've slept together. "Ashley, what are you planning to do?" "What should I do? I used to think getting married was enough. What couple doesn't have conflicts? After all, 8 years of feelings aren't something you can just let go of easily. But now, whether there's love or not has become all too obvious. I can't bear him sleeping beside me, making love to me, while his mind is on another woman. Bella, I'm starting to not want to marry him anymore." My best friend on the phone quickly asked, "Have you thought it through?" Just then, my phone vibrated. Someone had sent me a message. I tapped to open it. It was Bartley. "Ashley, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I find it hard to accept your arrogance and bullying behavior. The Carltons are my guests. By treating them this way, you're essentially disrespecting me. I think we should reconsider whether our values truly align." I burst out laughing as soon as I read this passage. Soon after, Bartley's call came through. I hung up on my best friend first to answer his call. "Hey, Ashley, it's me. Right now Betty is sitting right beside me, crying non-stop. The call is on speaker. You need to apologize to her immediately. If you refuse to apologize, then I'll have to seriously reconsider whether we're still suited for marriage." My temper flared instantly. "Fine, then let's not get married." Silence filled the phone line. Neither of us spoke. Seconds ticked by. In those silent dozen seconds, I burned with anger, tears betraying me as they fell, and countless scenes from the past 8 years flashed through my mind. That year I was 23, freshly graduated and stepping into society. My first job being a course consultant at an institution specializing in postgraduate and civil service exam preparation. That day I was handing out flyers at the gate of University A. Many students took it and immediately threw it away. Only Bartley took it in hand and examined it carefully, smiling at me as he said, "Thank you, if I'm interested, I'll stop by the shop." Later, he actually came to the store to inquire about signing up for classes, and we exchanged WeChat contacts. Later on, he confessed his feelings to me. He's a very intelligent and rational person, patiently listening to my complaints about work colleagues, untangling my thoughts when I'm most confused. He would wait for me downstairs at the company for 2 hours late at night when I worked overtime. As I came downstairs, he immediately got up from the couch, rubbing his sleepy eyes, pulled an umbrella from his bag, and waved at me with a smile. "Are you hungry, baby?" At the food stall, I was harassed by drunken hooligans. Without a word, he grabbed the liquor bottle and charged forward. His opponents were several burly men, while he was refined and slender, resulting in him being unilaterally pinned to the ground and beaten. At the police station, I cried a messy, chaotic cry. He smiled and comforted me, stroking my head, who knew he'd touched a wound, making him wince in pain. 8 years of feelings, even with all sorts of unexpected situations, how could it be easily severed? And how could one be content with that? I took a deep breath. We were both too worked up right now. There was no way we could calmly communicate. The best solution was to hang up, spend 2 or 3 days apart, and then talk. I was just about to speak. The voice on the other end of the line, Bartley, said, "Are you out of your mind?" Beep beep beep, a busy tone. He'd hung up. I remained frozen in my calling posture, my mind suddenly blank. What had he just said? It wasn't until my best friend's call came through that I snapped out of my daze. The screen lit up, the ringtone persistently blaring without pause. I answered, brimming with grievances desperate to pour out. "Ashley, why did you suddenly hang up just now? Did Bartley call you?" My best friend cautiously inquired. I covered my mouth and sobbed bitterly, fragmented cries escaping through my fingers. My friend grew anxious. "I'm coming over right now, don't cry, sweetheart." Between choked sobs, I said, "He demanded I apologize to Betty, said he wouldn't marry me unless I did, so I told him fine, then we won't get married. You know what, he called me crazy. Bella, it's impossible now, we're completely over." My best friend quickly comforted me. "He's the crazy one. Wait for me, I'm coming right over." The call ended. I clutched my phone and cried, then suddenly turned my head and saw the table full of dishes. "Bartley, you motherfucker." I swept the dishes onto the floor, stomping on them in a fit of rage, cursing wildly. "I want revenge, I'm going over there right now. I'm going to grab that son of a bitch Bartley by the hair and smash his head in. I'm also going to cause a scene at his school, make him delay his graduation, ruin his selection process, and make him lose face in front of his mentors. Yes, and I'm going to find that bitch, Betty. Didn't she take the postgraduate entrance exam? Didn't she even make it to the second round of interviews, meddling in other people's affairs? With such character, what is she even studying for? I'm going to report her to the admissions office. I have dozens of ways to mess with them, to make them socially dead, to make them suffer greatly. I knew that if I just went for it, I could do it. I wiped away my tears and stumbled towards the refrigerator. I opened it, pulled out a can of beer, and chugged half of it down. The rising gas made me nauseous, so I smashed the remaining half can onto the floor, turned, and went to the wine rack in the living room to grab a bottle of red wine. This was the good wine a friend gave me on my engagement day. I fumbled with it, trying to open it, but couldn't, so I smashed the wine bottle on the coffee table. With a ripping sound, the bottle broke in half, and red liquid splattered all over the carpet. I took the half-empty bottle and drank it all. Dizziness washed over me, and I collapsed to the ground, crying. So what then? After I've had my revenge, what then? After I've vented my anger? Just then, my phone rang. I looked down, and a tear splattered onto the screen. It was my boss. I quickly wiped away my tears, swiftly composed myself, and then answered the call. "Hello, Mr. Charles." I sat up straight. My boss chuckled apologetically on the other end of the phone, but his words were anything but apologetic. "Oh, you're on vacation. I really shouldn't be bothering you. It's just that our last proposal seems to have a bit of a problem. I've annotated it and sent the file to your email. If you're not too busy, could you just be a little busy for a bit longer?" I clenched my fist. My boss abuses me 1,000 times, yet I treat him like my first love. No problem. I gave a professional fake smile. "I'll send it to your email before work tomorrow morning." The boss pushed his luck. "Hey, could you make it by midnight tonight? It's kinda urgent." I glanced at my watch. It was 8 p.m. "Sure," I replied through gritted teeth. The boss chuckled. "Thanks for the hard work, Ashley. You're such a great help. I'll treat you to a feast later." I rolled my eyes. What kind of helpful assistant? More like your faithful beast of burden. After hanging up, I checked my emails on the phone and estimated it would take at least 3 hours to finish the job. Pushing myself up from the coffee table, a wave of dizziness made me stagger slightly. This won't do at all. I rushed to the bathroom, stuck my fingers down my throat, and vomited all the alcohol I just drunk. After splashing water on my face, I stared at my reflection in the mirror. All my makeup had cried away, my eyes swollen and red. What a wretched sight. So what? I asked myself again. After taking revenge and venting my anger, what would I actually gain? Or perhaps, is this man worth my time, energy, and emotions? He is not the only pillar of my life. I have a career, parents, money, friends, good looks, and a great figure. Losing him won't make me crumble. He's not worth it. The bathroom was still damp, carrying Betty's lingering shower gel fragrance. I frowned and walked out. Taking a deep breath, I brewed myself a large cup of honey water to sober up. Then tied up my disheveled hair. There are a few things I need to take care of before starting work. First, I changed the passcode on the door lock. Second, I contacted the property manager, presented the purchase contract, property deed, and bank statements, and demanded the immediate deactivation of Bartley's access card. Furthermore, I informed the property management that Bartley has violent and homicidal tendencies and would likely harass me, their esteemed homeowner, in the coming days. I'll call them for help anytime and demand that the property management and security come to remove him, supporting police intervention. I solemnly informed them that if anything happens to me, I will hold the property management legally accountable. The third thing, I've scheduled deep cleaning and same-city courier service for tomorrow. The fourth thing, I blocked Bartley's number and sent him a WeChat message, calling off the marriage. Agreed. The house was paid in full by me. The renovation costs were covered by your family, and the appliances were purchased by both sides, all with receipts and purchase records. I'll have professionals calculate everything and settle the accounts clearly within a week. Since we're not married yet and our assets aren't commingled, dividing them should be relatively straightforward. I'll mail your things to your school dormitory tomorrow. If anything comes up, I'll email you. I'm very busy right now, so don't disturb me. After sending the WeChat message, I blocked him. Just then, a message from my best friend arrived. I'm downstairs. Open the door. My best friend came in, panting, carrying 2 plastic bags. She looked around the house, then walked over and hugged me tightly, stroking my back, and gently comforting me. It's okay. Sis is here. Sis specially bought snacks, crayfish, and beer. I'll stay up all night crying with you. I pushed her away, giving a bitter smile. Cry about what? I still have to work tonight. My best friend looked at me like I was an alien. Work? Did you and Bartley make up? Is everything resolved? I shrugged. No, I just informed him that the wedding is off. My best friend's eyes widened like saucers. And you still have the mind to work. What else? I took a big gulp of honey water. Should I be so angry I get mammary hyperplasia? Or cry until I get ovarian cysts? He's not that important. My best friend pointed at the mess on the floor. Then what is all this? I shrugged. Oh, just a little loss of control. I put my arm around my best friend, resting my head on her shoulder. My only sister. Could you please help me tidy up the house a bit? My boss is waiting online for my report. I'm really busy. My best friend rolled her eyes in exasperation. So, I came over to be your cleaning lady. I pushed her into the kitchen, pleading pitifully. Please make me another meal. I haven't eaten all day. And I had a bit to drink earlier, so my stomach feels a little off now. Alright. My best friend poked my head with her finger, then jutted her chin outwards. Go to work. I'll handle the rest. No sooner had she spoken than her phone rang. It's him. My best friend shook her phone. He's reached out to me. Probably couldn't get through to you. Should I answer? I nodded. Answer. As soon as my friend answered the call, Bartley's anxious voice came through. Hey. Bartley sounded like he was driving. Has Ashley contacted you? My best friend glanced at me and said calmly. No, what's wrong? Did you two have a fight? Bartley grew increasingly agitated. Let me tell you about this, Ashley. My hometown friend's mother was hospitalized, and her family isn't well off. So I let her father stay at my place for a few days. Ashley completely lost it. She didn't spare him any dignity and kicked him out right at the dinner table. She clearly looks down on people from rural areas. You didn't see her condescending attitude. I just said a couple of things to her, and now she wants to call off the wedding. Hey, Bella, do you think she's seeing someone else? Maybe she's deliberately picking fights to break up with me. Kicking someone out for no reason. Don't you think she's sick? My best friend stood with one hand on her hip, the other mimicking a martial arts hero gathering energy, and yelled into the phone's microphone. You're the one who's sick. Your whole family is sick. If you're not sick, why would you bring an outsider into your marital home? Don't you have money? Can't you book a hotel for your fellow villager? Why are you so kind-hearted? Why are you so nosy? Why don't you go work for the UN? Your mom, me, I've never seen you this filial. You say she's seeing someone else. Well, I'd like to ask you, is your fellow villager a man or a woman? I'm guessing a woman, otherwise, you wouldn't pounce on it like a fly on a pile of dog shit, getting all excited like this. Bartley was so flustered he couldn't speak. Finally, he managed to blurt out, "You're simply unreasonable." With that, she hung up the phone. I gave my best friend a thumbs up. My best friend brushed her hair back. When it comes to arguments, we've never lost. I hugged her. Next time he calls, just hang up. If he comes looking for you, tell him you want nothing to do with these messy affairs. That way, the scumbag can't claim you're stirring things up and shift the blame onto you. My best friend nodded, squeezing my hand. If you need help, just say the word, I joked. I guess I'll have to trouble you to set me up with someone in the future. I remember, the year before last, when I broke up with that scumbag, you were going to introduce me to a handsome detective. My best friend scoffed. Too late. I think he's already married. I sat at the dining table in the living room, working. When I'm busy, I can avoid all the unhappiness. Get busy, and you can ignore the tears that once flowed. Get busy, and you can numb the stinging pain in your heart. Get busy, and you can forget him. At 9 in the evening, the sound of a failed password entry came from outside. Immediately after, a knock sounded at the door. I glanced up, then continued typing on my laptop. Soon, the knocking turned into pounding. Ashley, open the door. My best friend grabbed a broom and ran to the door, striking a fighting pose, then turned to look at me. I shook my head and contacted building management. Within a few minutes, my mom's call came in. I rubbed my throbbing temples and answered. Ashley, did you and Bartley have a fight? I hummed in response, continuing to work on my report. My mom chided. No matter what it is, how could you lock him out? Bartley just told me it's because he brought some old acquaintance to stay at home for a few days, and you got angry. This isn't a big deal. How could you suggest breaking up? You're getting married soon. All the relatives and friends have been notified. Now you're saying it's off. What will people think of us? You're over 30. You're not getting any younger. It'll be hard to find another partner. Understand, Bartley is handsome and highly educated. You won't find a man this good even if you search with a lantern. What are you doing? Whatever it is, you two should sit down and talk it out properly. Why lock him outside? If not, I'll take the train overnight and see what's going on with you two. I clicked my mouse, finishing the final data reconciliation. I took a deep breath, forcing myself not to get angry, and said to my mom, "Mom, this is between me and Bartley, and I can handle it myself. I was married to him for decades, not you. You'd best not interfere, not advise, not come over." My brother and sister-in-law were on the verge of divorce over my nephew's schooling. Last week, I just lent my brother $400,000, and they scraped together enough to buy a school district apartment. Say one more word, and I'll immediately take back the money. If he doesn't repay it, I'll sue. I have the IOU they both signed. If my brother and his wife divorce, you'll be the main culprit. Think about it yourself. My mother was so angry she cursed at me, and as she cursed, she started to cry, accusing me of not knowing right from wrong, saying she was only speaking out of concern for me. She kept cursing, but didn't dare persuade me again. Annoyed, I hung up directly. Then I immediately ordered a gold bracelet and sent my mom a message. "Mom, I was just angry earlier and spoke harshly. Don't take it to heart. I just bought you a gold bracelet and signed you up for a tour group. Go enjoy yourself for a few days. The issues between me and Bartley aren't something that can be explained in just a sentence or two. I've definitely thought this choice through carefully. At times like this, you should trust your daughter and stand by her side." Not long after, my mom sent me several 60-second voice messages, all choked with sobs. Roughly speaking, she had also been somewhat emotional earlier. She was afraid I might make a choice in the heat of the moment that I'd regret for the rest of my life. She told me to return the gold bracelet and not waste money, and that she wouldn't go on the trip either. She also reminded me that if anything happened, I should call her and my brother immediately. My family would stand up for me. I let out half a sigh of relief. I know my mom. First, she'll try to scare me, then she'll soften up, and that usually does the trick. Just then, my best friend pointed at the monitor and turned to me, saying, "The property management people are here, and it looks like they're arguing with Bartley." Cameras were installed outside. I immediately opened the surveillance app installed on my laptop. Outside, the property manager and 2 security guards arrived. Bartley clutched his phone in one hand and a dripping wet umbrella in the other, his brow furrowed in anger. He offered a bitter smile and explained, "I'm the man of this house. You should have seen me when we took possession. The situation is, my fiancé and I had a fight. Just a little domestic dispute, nothing serious. You can go, the property manager chuckled apologetically, but the owner of this unit, Ms. Ashley, said she's single, and she called us up, so Bartley's face grew darker. And he pounded on the door directly. Ashley, open the door, if you don't, I'll pick the lock. The property manager tried to mediate from the side. Sir, how about this? If this is indeed a family dispute, you and Ms. Ashley can communicate privately. What you're doing now will affect other neighbors. Bartley was furious. It's one apartment per floor. What neighbors am I affecting? Am I breaking the law by knocking on my own door, seeing that he couldn't be reasoned with? The property manager called me, Ms. Ashley. I had barely started speaking when Bartley snatched my phone away. Ashley. Bartley took a few steps back, tilting his head to face the camera above the door, his handsome face contorted with rage. Open the door. My fists clenched as I stared at the computer screen. No. Bartley pressed his lips together, gritting his teeth. Then unblock my number and WeChat, and let's talk. I sneered. No discussion. Bartley dropped his umbrella and gave a thumbs up to the camera. Fine, you're tough. I'll just stay right here at the door. Let's see if you can stay inside your whole life. The property manager quickly interjected. Sir, please be reasonable. Ms. Ashley specifically instructed us that if you insist on not leaving, we can call the police to ensure her personal safety. Bartley raised an eyebrow. Call the police. Go ahead, call them. I don't believe she won't open the door when the police arrive. I looked at the man on the screen and struck him where it hurt most. Bartley, I won't call the police, but I will call your mentor and ask him to come and take you away. Bartley's body stiffened. You wouldn't dare, I smiled. Not only do I have your mentor's contact information, but I also have the contact information for your other fellow students and senior sisters in your discipline. Wouldn't it be fun for everyone to come and watch the show? Bartley glared fiercely at the camera. A few seconds later, he gritted out, you win. He returned the phone to the property manager, picked up his umbrella from the ground, and left in the elevator. I watched the surveillance screen, expecting to wear a victor's smile. But in the end, there was only a sense of loss. Just before midnight, I sent the email to my boss. I stretched my arms and rubbed my sore shoulders and neck. After washing up, I returned to the guest bedroom. My best friend was already lying in bed. Seeing me arrive, she lifted the blanket and patted the space beside her. Ashley, you're truly heartless as a flipped pancake. My best friend shook her head with a laugh. We're already at the stage of breaking up and dividing assets. Yet you can sit here working as steady as an old dog. If I poked you with a needle right now, I bet ice would come out. I climbed into bed and lay down. No big deal. Time to sleep. Lights out. Darkness enveloped my vision. We chatted intermittently. My best friend said, I really admire you. You cut ties just like that. It hasn't even been 8 hours since you got off the plane. I couldn't do it. I'd have to go through dozens of rounds of back and forth, crying and fighting with my husband. I stared at the pitch-black ceiling. That's because we've gone through countless breakups and makeups before, gotten angry so many times, and tried to convince myself over and over again when I hated him, I'd force myself to remember his good points. This time, I just couldn't convince myself anymore. As the conversation went on, my best friend fell asleep. After a whole day of work, traveling by car and plane, dealing with emotions, and working in the office, I thought I would be exhausted, but I wasn't sleepy at all. I tiptoed out of bed and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window in the living room. All the grievances and pain seemed to erupt simultaneously at that very second. I collapsed onto the floor, crying uncontrollably. I opened my phone and unblocked Bartley's WeChat. I clicked on his profile picture, typed out messages several times, only to delete them each time. I opened Twitter again, wanting to see what he had posted on his alternate account. I hoped to see cruel and hateful words from him, so it would strengthen my resolve, yet I feared seeing them. Afraid he'd plunge another knife into my already battered heart, I sat there like this, flipping through old photos, crying as I went through them, deleting them one by one. When dawn barely broke, I returned to the bedroom, pretending nothing had happened. I lay down on the bed. There's a popular saying online, at first you thought you were different, but in the end it all turned out the same. Bartley, so we've all come to this point in the end. After sleeping groggily for 2 hours, I got up. So much to do today, deep cleaning, packing up Bartley's things, sending packages. The meaning of a best friend is that she accompanies me to nearby tourist spots during my vacation to relax and breathe fresh air, helping me handle family matters in the best state possible. I told her I'm in great shape now, calmer than ever before. I know I can't afford to rest. If I rest, those 8 years of memories, whether good or bad, will devour me until not even bones remain. I need to keep myself busy. I must stay occupied, so I chose to go to work. When my dog boss saw me show up at the office, He was moved beyond words. In his excitement, he assigned me that lakeside office. Not bad. In the afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a familiar male voice came from the other end of the line. It was me. Bartley's voice held a hint of anger. You sent my things to the school. I received them. I picked up the watering can and watered the green plants on the windowsill. Then I'll trouble you to check them. Bartley gritted his teeth. Today I couldn't even get into the community's garage. Was that your doing? I smiled. The house and the parking space are both mine. I have the right to dispose of them. Bartley was silent for a few seconds. Ashley, let's meet. No need. I was about to hang up. I'll contact you once I've settled the finances, Bartley said directly. I'm downstairs at your company right now. I won't leave until I see you. I checked my watch. Alright, I have a meeting soon, so I can only give you 15 minutes. I met Bartley in the small park near the company. He was wearing the camel-colored overcoat I bought him for Chinese New Year. He clearly hadn't slept well. He looked a bit haggard, his brows furrowed into a knot. My first words were an accusation. Can you please stop messing around? You're a grown man. Always doing childish things out of spite. I quietly watched him. He strode over, grabbed my wrist. Come on, let's go home. I shook him off. That's my home, not yours. Bartley snapped angrily. What the hell do you want? Is this some kind of joke to you? I smiled. Isn't this what you asked for, last night on the phone? You said you'd consider whether our values align enough for marriage. Listen up, Bartley. There's no fucking way I'm apologizing to Betty. So let's just call off this marriage nonsense. Bartley closed his eyes, pursed his lips and took several deep breaths. He opened his eyes and instinctively reached out to stroke my hair. I took a step back, avoiding his touch. Ashley, Bartley sighed. I admit I spoke without thinking yesterday. I was wrong too, shouldn't have brought the villagers home without telling you first. Sorry, if you don't want to apologize to Betty, then don't, she's an outsider anyway. There's no need for us to make such a fuss over an outsider. Bartley's eyes were red, his voice even tinged with a sob, as he tried to take my hand again. Ashley, do you really not want me anymore? I shook him off once more. He simply rushed over and hugged me, holding me tightly. I'm sorry, Ashley, I'm really sorry. You know, I've always been on campus. I don't know how to deal with people or how to talk. Please don't hold it against me. Can you really bear to leave me? Are you willing to give up all these years we've been together? I admit, for a moment, I was dazed, but then I remembered his psycho before he hung up the phone last night. I knew that if I softened now, if I let this slide, I would be pathetic, and I would despise myself for the rest of my life. I pushed him away forcefully. You've been studying for so many years. Can't you do reading comprehension? I told you clearly on WeChat last night. Break up, no marriage. Do you understand? Bartley was startled, anger flushing his face. I find you really, don't you think you're being unreasonable? Once again, he tried to shift the blame onto me, condemning me repeatedly. Ashley, don't you have any friends or people from your hometown, just because it's your house? You won't let me bring my fellow villagers in. Then what am I, your fiancé, or your long-term kept boy toy? I know you've made a lot of money these past few years, and you're very successful, so you look down on me, and just kick me out in the middle of the night. See, the man knows full well the problem lies with him, but he'll never admit it. They will try to blacken your name, slander you, and push all the blame onto you, thereby covering up their own mistakes. I watched him vent in silence. Bartley said in a hostile tone. Why are you staring at me? Am I wrong? I glanced at my watch. There were only 2 minutes left. Bartley, does it bother you that I earn more than you? All these years you've been studying, I've covered 80% of the household expenses. What else would you call yourself but a kept man? No. A kept man is good in bed and obedient. You're not. You're a kept man who acts like he's the provider. Bartley bristled like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. What the hell did you just say? I scoffed, crossing my arms. But then again, if you think I'm angry and making a fuss because you brought your fellow townsman home, you're seriously underestimating me. When we used to rent outside, you brought your uncle, your buddies, your sick relatives. When did I ever not do my best? When did I ever not make sure you looked good? Why am I specifically targeting Betty and her father, Bartley? Do I have to read out the content of your Twitter alt account for you to stop being so stubborn? Since you've met a girl you want to take care of for the rest of your life before getting married, go ahead and take care of her openly. Why sneak her into your home? A flicker of panic crossed Bartley's face, and he quickly defended himself. Ashley, you must have misunderstood something. I never had a Twitter alt account. Betty and I are completely innocent. There's really nothing going on. How could you think that of me? I just see her as a little sister. She's studying for her postgraduate exams and occasionally asks me for help. That's all. I pointed to my wristwatch, told him time was up, and turned to walk towards the company. Bartley trotted along, grabbing my arm and chattering explanations. I told him, follow me again, touch me again, and I'll have security drag him away. Then, I'll send embarrassing photos of him to everyone in his sect. Every single one. Bartley didn't dare touch me again. I knew he hadn't left, that he was right behind me, but I didn't turn around. In the following days, Bartley realized I wasn't just throwing a tantrum with him, but was truly calling off our engagement. He came looking for me several times, but I refused to meet him. The property manager called to tell me Bartley had been lingering downstairs, once even waiting drunkenly until past 2 a.m. The property manager advised me to communicate better, saying all young couples experience arguments. I reiterated that I had no relationship whatsoever with Bartley, and hinted to the property manager that this person might have some mental issues. I also suggested it would be best to have him removed, otherwise if other residents' safety was threatened, he wouldn't be able to take responsibility. Bartley, having failed to confront me in the neighborhood, came up with a new plan when he couldn't find me. He mobilized our mutual friends to mediate, and even approached my boss to help arrange a dinner to clear up the misunderstanding. My boss is an old hand. He agreed verbally but never once approached me. He only hinted that if I had anything going on at home recently, I could take a few days off. That won't be necessary. 4 days after my falling out with Bartley, I received a call from Betty. The young woman suggested we meet, saying she had a personal grievance to discuss with me. A personal grievance. Interesting. The place was chosen by Betty, an Anhui cuisine restaurant. This place is a chain restaurant, and the portions are small and expensive. For Betty now, it's not worth it. Clearly, she was trying to save face. When I went in, Betty was already waiting in the small private room. She had her hair in a low bun and wore light makeup. Her coat was draped over a chair, and she wore a white wool base layer and a long coffee-colored skirt, looking artistic, pure, and very much like a well-behaved girl. Seeing me, Betty immediately stood up. "Ms. Ashley, long time no see." As she spoke, her expression was calm, neither servile nor arrogant. I sat down opposite Betty without being asked, glanced at my phone, and said, "Student Shu, if you have something to say, just say it directly." Betty picked up the teapot and poured me a glass of water. "What, is President Ashley very busy?" I raised an eyebrow. "Of course, my time is calculated by the minute. The more I waste on unworthy people and things, the greater the loss." Betty obviously understood that I was being sarcastic. Girls her age can't hide their feelings. Their emotions are all over their faces. "So you think Senior is also an unworthy person? That's why you haven't been willing to see him these past few days?" I leaned lazily back in my chair, sizing up Betty, and scoffed. "What does that have to do with you? It sounds like you're here to accuse me." "Interesting." Betty glared at me. "Of course it has something to do with me. If it weren't for helping my dad and me, Senior wouldn't have offended you." I remained non-committal, tapping my fingers on the table. Betty frowned. "I heard you and Senior are breaking up. Senior has been down and in pain these past few days. He's a kind person. He knows the root cause lies with my father and me, but he's never blamed us." I nodded. "Then what?" Betty placed both hands on the dining table. "If President Ashley breaks up with my Senior over this, my conscience won't be clear." She stood up and bowed slightly. "I apologize to you." I glanced at the dishes on the table. "So, the apology is to treat me to a meal." Betty straightened her back. "My dad and I took turns staying in your marital home for 3 days, and we used your kitchenware. Treating you to a meal is a way to repay part of that debt." With that, she picked up the backpack from the chair, pulled out an envelope, and pushed it towards me. "There's 1,000 yuan in here." The girl's eyes were full of pride and stubbornness. "Based on the price of a standard room at a chain hotel outside, this is for 3 days' rent. From now on, we owe each other nothing." I glanced at the envelope and shook my head with a scornful laugh. Betty picked up her coat and bag, turned to leave, and coldly tossed me a line. "I've already paid the bill. Enjoy your meal." "Hold it." I took a sip of tea. "Did I say you could leave?" Betty lifted her chin defiantly. "What is it? Something else?" I motioned for her to sit down. Betty remained motionless, standing rigidly opposite me with her arms crossed, glaring coldly. I scoffed. "Who knows whether your parents are blessed or cursed to have such an insolent fool for a daughter?" Betty slammed her fist on the table, stiffening her neck as she spat venomously. "So what if you've earned some filthy money? Who do you think you are? Truly wealthy people are cultured and gentle, unlike you. A complete shrew." Betty was so angry that her chest heaved up and down, her eyes turning red. "Fortune alternates like the ebb and flow of tides. Ashley, just you wait." I couldn't help but laugh. "Wait for what?" She looked at me disdainfully. "I'm younger than you. With more opportunities ahead, I'll definitely earn more than you." I couldn't resist clapping. "What ambition? Then I hope you get your wish." Betty let out a cold laugh. Just keep your eyes wide open and wait to see. I picked up that envelope, weighed it in my hand, then tossed it toward Betty. Your mother has cancer. This is exactly when money's needed most. Your father can't bear to spend on hotels. Smiling obsequiously and bending over backward in front of juniors to save by crashing at their places. And here you are, to apologize to me, not only spending hundreds on a meal but also covering my accommodation. I clicked my tongue. Seems your mother isn't sick enough yet. Wait, no. Your mother matters far less than your pitiful pride. Tell me, was I wrong to call you stupid? Betty broke down completely, tears streaming down her face as she pointed at me. Shut up. Keep our grudges between us, don't drag my mom into this. Curse her one more time, and I'll fight you to the death. I raised an eyebrow. Fine, we won't mention your poor mother, then let's talk about you. Betty gritted her teeth. What about me? I stared at her. Do you even know boundaries? Betty snapped irritably. How am I being inappropriate? Did I steal your man? Which eye of yours saw that? I took out several printed pages from my bag and threw them at Betty. The papers clearly showed footage from my doorstep surveillance camera. Bartley carrying 2 large bags of groceries, walking home cheerfully while chatting with Betty. Betty let out a cold laugh, tore the printed pages to shreds, and threw them back at me. Don't slander me like that. My relationship with my senior is completely innocent. He's just a kind person who knows my family has been struggling lately and wants to help me. I brushed off the paper scraps from my clothes. There are plenty of pitiful people in this world. Why would he help you specifically out of all his juniors? Betty, that's because, I cut her off. That's because you, this little white lotus, noticed he has feelings for you and shamelessly took advantage of him. Betty flushed crimson. You're lying. I pulled several printed photo sheets from my bag again and tossed them to Betty. For months ago, when you went to him for math help in the middle of the night. Do you know what we were doing? Having sex. Which you interrupted. 3 months ago, he stayed up all night researching to help you write that term paper. Back to the previous question. You knew he was getting married, yet you still shamelessly sought him out, ordered him around, and even brought your family to his home to freeload off him. Betty, he's dirty, and you're cheap. Betty angrily grabbed her water glass. I watched her calmly, waiting for her to throw it. Betty didn't dare. After all, she slammed the cup onto the table, raising an eyebrow triumphantly. I don't even have to say anything, and senior automatically helps me. What can I do? It's only because you're old, and you're no longer attractive to him. I was amused. Little girl, attacking a woman's age is the classiest thing to do. Alright, then I wish you eternal youth at 20. Betty was full of pride. That's still younger than you. I slowly and methodically finished my last sip of tea. I heard your postgraduate entrance exam scores were good. Congratulations. Betty's smile froze. What do you mean? I jutted my chin towards the printouts on the table. I'll take this evidence to the admissions office. No, on the day of your second interview, I'll go talk to your interviewers. I'll tell them all about how you spent your nights chatting with Bartley Dr. Bartley, causing his 8-year relationship with Ashley Ms. Ashley to fall apart. You wouldn't dare, Betty cried. Trembling, veins bulging on her forehead. If you dare ruin me, I'll jump off the building. She pulled her recording phone from her bag, breathing heavily. But before I die, I'll make sure the world knows that you drove me to it. I looked at her coldly. If you're ready to die over such a trivial matter, that just shows how pathetic you are. As I spoke, I also took out my recording phone from my bag and waved it. Think you're the only one who's clever enough to record in advance. Did you think I've been wasting all these years in society? I stood up. Betty, go home and listen carefully to the recording. Review what exactly I forced you to do. Wasn't every word I said the truth? I'm the real victim here. Betty seemed as if all her strength had drained away, leaving her with nothing but tears. I picked up my bag and was ready to leave. Just as I was about to step out, Betty suddenly spoke. Ashley, did you know, during that time when I was feeling down, my senior drove over 300 kilometers to my hometown county just to cheer me up. He bought me my favorite donkey meat sandwich at the gate of my old high school. I frowned. What are you trying to say? Betty smiled provocatively through her tears. You're so good to him. What has he ever given you in return? I don't have to do anything, and he actively solves my problems for me. Ashley, he doesn't love you anymore. His marrying you was just to give you and your family an explanation after sleeping with you for 8 years. My heart felt a sudden prick. After a few seconds to compose myself, I turned back to Betty and smiled. I don't want the trash anymore. If you like it, go recycle it. And, little sister, prepare well for the second interview. We'll see each other then. Watching Betty's furious, defeated face, my mood brightened considerably, and I strode away, back in the car. The moment the door closed, it shut out the clamor of the commercial street. What did Betty just say? Bartley once drove over 300 kilometers to her hometown county to specially buy her donkey meat sandwiches. I remembered an afternoon about half a year ago when I messaged Bartley, and he didn't reply for a long time, so I video called him. He picked up quickly. It turned out he was driving alone on the highway, complaining on the phone that his advisor had given him a side job, sending him to B County to deliver a hard drive. Fearing he might have an accident while driving, I told him to be careful and quickly hung up. At the time, I didn't suspect a thing. Looking back now, it's just like that song lyric says, he and Betty, there's so much I don't know about. Annoyed. Every cell in my body was in revolt. I pulled out my phone, dialed Bartley's number. Wanting to confront him, curse him, run over that lying bastard. The phone rang. It was my best friend. Hey, Ashley, weren't you meeting that little white lotus today? Are you done? I hummed. It's over. I turned around, pulling half a pack of cigarettes and a lighter from my bag. This is what my best friend left at my place last time. I haven't had a chance to return it to her. I don't usually smoke, but right now, I desperately need nicotine to calm my nerves. I lit it up and took a deep drag. The smoke making me cough. What's wrong? My best friend asked with concern. Are you smoking? I heard the lighter. Heh, looks like that little white lotus really got to you. I held a cigarette between my fingers, my hand resting on the steering wheel. After a while, my emotions settled, and I briefly told my best friend what had happened in the private room. I sighed. Even though I seemed to dominate her and have the upper hand today, why do I still feel like I lost? My best friend teased. Did you lose the trash to her? I smiled, but said nothing. My best friend asked, this girl is so arrogant. Should we teach her a lesson? I rubbed my aching temples and turned my head to look outside. To my surprise, I saw Betty standing at the bus stop not far away. She was crying while on the phone, her expression very wronged, as if complaining to someone. I put out my cigarette and said to my best friend, we'll see when the time comes. My best friend seemed to remember something. Oh, right, Ashley, Bartley has been looking for me these past few days, begging me to mediate, and he's arranged a dinner tomorrow to propose to you again in front of family and friends, and he asked us to keep it a secret. What's he playing at? Flirting with a younger girl while still hounding you? I sneered and watched Betty get on the bus. My best friend said worriedly, after all, it's 8 years of feelings. I'm just afraid you'll go soft. I started the car, signaled, and drove out of the parking space. He secretly brought my mom from our hometown, thinking I wouldn't know. You come tomorrow too. If I go soft, you slap us both awake. The next morning, I was woken up by my mom's call. My mom said she was coming to see me, and after getting off the train, she went to a mall to buy me some daily necessities, but got lost. She sent me an address and asked me to pick her up. I washed up, put on my makeup, and once I was ready, I drove out. As soon as I parked, I saw my mom and Bartley standing by the roadside. Bartley was dressed in a suit, looking neat and handsome, holding a bouquet of red roses. He looked every bit the perfect son-in-law, respectfully chatting with my mom, while also glancing around. When he spotted my car, he quickly ran over. Ashley. Bartley proactively opened the car door for me, his gaze burning as he presented a bouquet of red roses to me with both hands. Today marks our 8th anniversary. I didn't take the flowers, but looked at him coldly. We already agreed to handle our own affairs. Why did you bring my mother into this? Bartley's eyes were red, almost pleading. Please don't be angry. Okay. Just then, my mother also walked up to us. My mother caressed my arm, looked at me, then at Bartley, her old eyes welling up with tears. You two have been together for so many years. Look, you make such a perfect couple standing together. If it weren't for Ashley's father getting sick and passing away a few years ago, you would have been married by now. My dear child, life is very long, and you're bound to encounter bad things along the way. As long as you have each other in your hearts, there's nothing you can't overcome. Ashley, your mother knows how deep your feelings for Bartley are. Have you forgotten that year, when he got a concussion defending you? If he didn't truly like you, why would he protect you? Why would he stand up for you? My heart was restless. Bartley is a master manipulator, and my mom is the type who loves to buy health products from live streams. Sure enough, my mom took my hand and placed it into Bartley's, pressing our hands firmly together. Ashley, Bartley promised me that if he ever makes you feel wronged again, I can beat him to death. I tried to pull my hand back with all my might. Bartley held on, looking at me pitifully. Wife, please give me another chance. I frowned. Let go. Bartley gripped even tighter. I've invited my parents, our friends, and your company's Mr. Charles. My voice rose. What? Why did you invite Mr. Charles? Isn't it embarrassing enough? Actually, yesterday afternoon, Mr. Charles had already called me in advance, saying that Bartley had cornered him in the company's underground parking garage, earnestly asking him to spare some time. Bartley said he wanted to propose again and asked Mr. Charles to be a witness. Mr. Charles asked for my opinion. I sneered. There was no need to go, it was just that kid putting on a show. Mr. Charles said he loved plays and wanted to go. Speechless. What else could I do? They've kidnapped my boss, and if I don't go, who's going to pay me? Bartley rented a small banquet hall. The hall was specially decorated with roses and pink balloons. Not many people came. His parents, my mom, my brother and sister-in-law, for mutual friends, and my boss. As soon as I walked in, I saw my brother cheerfully greeting the guests. My brother is the typical northern man. Big build, loud voice. Uncle, auntie, please sit. What would you like to drink? Make yourselves at home. The Who parents, one a teacher and the other working at the Education Bureau, considered themselves from a scholarly family, quite traditional and conservative. They didn't think much of my brother, who dropped out of high school to work. Of course, they also looked down on me, a saleswoman. Believing that a girl from a private third-tier university like me wasn't worthy of their son, a doctor from a prestigious university. After we started dating, Bartley took me home, and his mother was overly direct in asking me if my job required me to drink with clients. She suggested I shouldn't wear too much perfume and that my skirts should be knee-length, otherwise it would be immodest. At this moment, facing my brother's enthusiastic greeting, they nodded politely with smiles, exchanging meaningful glances that conveyed their disdain for him. After greeting Bartley's parents, my brother turned to my boss, holding a teapot with both hands as he poured tea for Mr. Charles. You must be Mr. Charles. Ah, my sister talks about you all the time, says you're amazing. Thank you so much for mentoring her all these years. Mr. Charles patted my brother's arm and joked, Hey, I see you're even more eloquent than your sister. Any interest in working for our company? My brother chimed in, that would be perfect. Just then, my best friend noticed us entering and stood up waving. Auntie, Ashley, you're here. I nodded with a smile and glanced at my brother. My brother gave me a slight nod and blinked. Actually, the night before last, my brother called me and said Bartley drove to my house, most likely wanting to ask my family to persuade me to reconcile. My brother asked what I thought about it. I said, since he invited you, you should go, anyway. Calling off the engagement requires both families to sit down and talk. This could be an opportunity. I led my mother to our seats, right in front of my best friend. As soon as I sat down, I felt an unfriendly gaze. It was from my almost ex-mother-in-law. She glared at me repeatedly. Seeing that I didn't respond or greet her, she angrily threw her napkin onto the table and muttered, so ill-mannered. I heard that. My mom, however, was all smiles, leaning slightly forward to chat with them. In-laws, what time did you arrive today? Mother, who said in a sarcastic tone, what time we arrive? Isn't that all up to Ashley to decide? Father, who secretly tugged at her, shaking his head to signal his wife to be patient. I let out a cold laugh. My best friend leaned in, hand over her mouth, whispering her complaints. Just now, your ex-mother-in-law, in front of your boss, kept praising her son for being a doctor, how amazing and brilliant he is, and even asked your boss if you're doing well at work, how much you earn. I quickly asked, what did Mr. Charles say? My best friend couldn't help but laugh. What did he say? Your boss is such a shrewd person. After chatting for a short while, he actually managed to extract information about her retirement fund, how much money they had left in their account after building your house. Your ex-mother-in-law only realized it later. Her old face turned red, and now she's grumbling about how business people are all too cunning. I burst out laughing. Today, my black-hearted boss was actually quite helpful. Suddenly, the lights in the reception room dimmed, and lyrical music began to play. On the big screen, a photo of me and Bartley appeared. It was a picture from when we first met, a group photo taken at a postgraduate and civil service exam prep institution. I didn't wear makeup, and he was simply dressed, but there was a sparkle in both our eyes. Just then, the speakers played The Wind Rises, and Bartley's friend and roommate took the microphone to sing. Bartley walked slowly onto the stage, holding a bouquet of roses. He held the microphone and first bowed. Thank you to all my dearest friends and family for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and witness the happiness of me and Ashley. After speaking, he looked at me affectionately. In 2015, Ashley and I first met at the gate of a university. In a blink of an eye, 8 years have passed. Immediately after, several travel photos appeared on the screen, showing me wearing a life jacket and sitting in an inflatable boat. The current was swift, and I screamed in fright. Bartley holding an oar in one hand and me tightly in the other. Bartley said with a happy expression, this was my first trip with Ashley, and we both fell into the water that day. That night, Ashley developed a high fever, and I carried her to the hospital in the middle of the night. That's right. I clearly told him then that I almost drowned as a child and was afraid of water. He made me face my fear, pulling me onto the boat. On the screen, several more photos appeared of us embracing and kissing, as well as a picture of us together at the entrance of a university. Bartley's eyes were already moist. That year, I was preparing for the university entrance exam, so I rented a place nearby and went to the school's study room every day to review. The first year, I didn't even pass the national line. Ashley encouraged me to prepare for the exam again. On the day the postgraduate entrance exam results were released, we both anxiously waited in front of the computer. When the time came, my hands were trembling with nervousness, and in the end, she checked for me. The score was very high. She hugged me and congratulated me. I told her that half of this score belonged to her. It was her support and encouragement that allowed me to achieve my dream. In the past, my dream was University A. But now, my dream is Ashley. I want to take care of her for the rest of my life, and grow old with her. My mom was already in tears, and several old friends also had glistening eyes. He only mentioned the glory and joy of getting into university after 2 attempts, but never spoke of the immense pressure he was under at the time, often losing control and feeling depressed. I tried every way I could to cheer him up and relieve his depression. Worried that the food sold outside wasn't nutritious, I quit my job during his sprint period and cooked for him for 2 full months. Then, when he went online, I helped him gather all sorts of information. It turns out that the year of purest love was also the year of purest foolishness. My best friend nudged me with her elbow, made a disgusted face, and whispered, "He's so melodramatic, he's probably trying to soften you up by reminiscing about the past." I lowered my head, staring at my empty ring finger. "Yesterday, weren't you curious why Bartley was flirting with that girl while still relentlessly pursuing me?" my best friend asked. "Why?" I gave a weak laugh. "Because I'm his optimal choice." A man, even when he possesses an all-powerful red rose, is not prevented from thinking of his white moonlight. But he also understands that no matter how much he likes the white moonlight, she cannot replace the superficial vanity, the privileged life, and the care for his daily needs that the red rose provides. Too naive, he said it about him, and about me too. At this moment, Bartley knelt on one knee holding roses, gazing deeply at me. "Ashley, marry me. I swear, if I ever make you sad or betray you in the future, I'll kill myself before you even have to say it." His 2 good buddies chimed in. "Marry him, marry him. Monkey truly loves you so much. He hasn't slept for 2 days and a night preparing for today's proposal. Don't worry, Ashley, if Monkey dares to wrong you after marriage, we brothers will help you take care of him." Our eyes met. I actually saw Bartley's eyes filled with a kind of desperate tenderness. Yet not long ago, from this same mouthful of sweet nothings, came the words, "You're insane. What a fine actor, utterly heartless." I stood up. My best friend immediately grabbed my wrist. I smiled at her and stepped onto the stage. Standing before Bartley, he cooperatively raised the bouquet of roses higher, his handsome face deceptively sincere as he gazed at me tearfully. "Ashley, I love you. He sure loves me." In a near-breaking state, he secretly invited my family, friends, and boss behind my back, thinking I'd forgive him again like before because I'd fear losing face in front of everyone. I bent down and helped him up. "Get up first." Bartley took the opportunity to hug me. Applause erupted from below. I took the roses, placed my hand on his chest. "May I say a few words too?" Bartley thought I had compromised and visibly relaxed. Stepping aside, I turned my head and glanced at my brother. My brother understood and walked over, putting his arm around Bartley. He raised his fist as if to punch him, but in the end, only lightly tapped him, joking, "Brother-in-law, if you ever treat my sister badly, I'll beat you to a pulp." Bartley chuckled. "Don't worry, big brother, I'll definitely take good care of Ashley from now on." I walked over to the laptop connected to the screen, pulled a USB drive from my pocket, and plugged it in. "Thank you, dear friends and family, for coming to witness our happiness." I bowed and looked at Bartley not far away. "Thank you, Bartley, I'm truly touched." I clicked on the folder in the USB drive, and a photo appeared on the large screen. I was in my pajamas, lying in bed, Bartley beside me, blowing on a bowl of soup. "Thank you for making me a bowl of utterly unnutritious soup with frozen chicken drumsticks after my miscarriage." With a click of the mouse, the next set of photos appeared, Bartley and Betty on a video call, Bartley leading Betty into the bridal chamber. "Thank you for putting me to sleep, only to tutor a junior college student in the middle of the night. Thank you for your overflowing love while I was away on business, bringing the junior into our marital home. Thank you for forcing me to apologize to the junior. Thank you for bestowing upon me the esteemed title of lunatic after I explicitly refused." Bartley was anxious to come over. He hadn't expected me to be so undignified. who knew he was held fast by my elder brother, unable to move an inch. I clicked on a pre-edited audio clip, and from the speakers came Betty's triumphant and provocative voice. "Ashley, do you know, I was in a bad mood during that time, and to cheer me up, my senior drove over 300 kilometers to my hometown county. He bought me my favorite donkey meat sandwich outside my old high school. Ashley, he doesn't love you anymore." My mom was the first to react, her face a mixture of disbelief and then anger. "Bartley, you cheated." Bartley's face turned pale, and for a moment he didn't know where to begin explaining. He looked at me, his gaze complex, anger, annoyance, panic, embarrassment. Finally, he could only plead, "Ashley, please don't play it." "Okay," I sneered. "Why not? All our friends and family are here today, so I won't have to explain it to everyone individually later." All the pent-up grievances buried in my memory exploded. I hurled the roses at him. "Get the hell away from me. And you're the crazy one. Your whole family is crazy. You mama's boy who can't cut the umbilical cord." Bartley was still struggling. "Ashley, you've misunderstood me. I didn't. Betty and I are completely innocent. You're slandering me." I paused the mouse over a dark video and looked at him with a raised eyebrow. "Do you want me to play the video of you jerking off to Betty's photos for everyone?" Bartley's eyes were bloodshot, as if he'd been drinking. "No, please don't." I laughed, exasperated. "Bartley, I was just trying to scare you. But I guess you really have done something like that, haven't you?" Bartley froze, his face ashen. Suddenly, he broke free from my brother's grasp and lunged at me like a madman. The moment his hands touched me, I fell backward, my body hitting the wall with a thud. "Did you hit me?" I asked him in horror. Bartley was so angry his chest heaved violently. "I didn't." "Don't talk nonsense." As he spoke, he reached to pull out that USB drive. I pointed at him. "You did hit me. Everyone saw it." The next second, I rushed forward to snatch the USB drive. "What are you afraid of, Dr. Who? Let everyone keep watching." Bartley pushed me away, using his height advantage to lightly shove my face, covering my face. I screamed, "You hit me again." With that, I grabbed him and immediately flipped him over my shoulder. Then I mounted him, raised my hand, and slapped him hard across the face. 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. "Thank you, Bartley." Back then, afraid you'd get hurt protecting me again, I swore to become stronger myself, immediately signing up for judo classes, kickboxing lessons. Feeling good now, Bartley. A commotion broke out in the small banquet hall. Aunt Who rushed forward, hitting me with her fists, calling me a shrew, and forcing me to release her son. My mom let out a howl and charged forward too, grabbing the woman's hair and kicking her. The two women fought fiercely, their screams deafening. My best friend rolled up her sleeves and joined the fray to help my mom. Father Who grabbed his small leather bag and went to rescue his wife. My brother spat. "Damn it, they dare hit my mom." As he spoke, my brother was about to step forward but was held back by my boss. My boss kept winking and shaking his head. It was a mess, a complete mess. Ultimately, this romance novel, which began with a marriage proposal, ended in a bad ending with a trip to the police station. Bartley's mother's face was completely scratched up, and she was going to sue us. My mother, who in her life hated mistresses and unfaithful men the most, put her hands on her hips and declared, "Sue, this old lady will fight you to the end. Not only that, but from now on, whenever your brat has a major event, this old lady will go and give a speech, telling everyone what kind of person he is." The two women started fighting again at the police station. Unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. In the end, my black-hearted boss pulled out a video of Bartley shoving me, pressing my face, and hitting me to the ground, proving that I acted in self-defense. They were still taking notes inside. Bartley and I sat on the chairs outside. He didn't speak, and neither did I. My slap had turned his face into a pig's head, his suit draped over his arm, his white shirt crumpled, and 2 buttons missing. My hair was a mess, and my heel was broken. He pulled out a cigarette from his pocket, lit it, and began deleting our past photos one by one from his phone. I called the wedding planner to cancel our contract and messaged the bridal shop, telling them I didn't want the other set of wedding photos we'd taken, and that I'd pay extra for all the negatives to be destroyed. Just then, a police officer carrying some documents walked over, frowning at Bartley. "No smoking allowed here." Bartley nodded repeatedly, extinguished his cigarette with his bare hand, and stood up to throw it into the trash can, with his back to me. He suddenly laughed and said cuttingly, "You just can't compare to Betty." I said oh and ran my hand through my hair. "Is it because she can accept that you can only last 10 minutes each time? Then I really can't compare." Bartley turned and glared at me. I arched my brow at him and flashed a coquettish smile. Just then, quite a few people emerged from the mediation room ahead. Bartley, his mother, sporting bruises on her face, came over to pull her son away. She shot me a glare and spat. Come on, son. You're handsome and highly educated. Next time we'll find you a pure maiden to settle down with properly. My best friend scoffed and walked toward me with her newly bought shoes, passing the mother-son pair while remarking sarcastically, with a mother like you, he'll never settle down properly. Another verbal sparring match seemed imminent. Suddenly, my unscrupulous boss, who'd been talking with the police, snapped his fingers at me. Ashley. The matter's settled, I'm heading out first. As he spoke, it was as if he suddenly remembered something. President Song of TS Group has had a secret crush on you. That young man's net worth surpassed 100 million before he even turned 30, and he's a Harvard PhD too. He held back before because you were engaged and didn't dare make a move. Ashley, if you're willing, I can arrange a dinner for you too. There was no such thing as TS Group or President Song, I know. It's my shady boss trying to save face for me. I gave him an okay sign. Sure thing, Mr. Charles. The boss waved his hand. I'll head off then. Call me if anything comes up. Good, thank you so much, Master. I rubbed my burning eyes, put on my new shoes, and left with my best friend. Bartley and his mother went in the opposite direction. Like 2 arrows shot, there would be no turning back. I sold the marital home. Later, when Bartley and I divided our assets, disputes arose as expected. But we managed to sort it out smoothly. Bartley wanted to settle it quickly, implying we could leave behind the appliances his family had purchased. His mother disagreed. Since their family had spent real money, she insisted on taking even a small charger. The day we moved the appliances, his parents specifically asked Betty to come help with the inventory. My company had a meeting, and I couldn't get away. My mom and sister-in-law stayed home, scrutinizing the list to make sure they didn't take even an extra wire. I was on a business trip at the end of the month, and once I got to the airport, I suddenly remembered that today was apparently Betty's second interview. Will you feel relieved and let go of the woman who forced her way into your emotional life, like a fart? Will you consider her cheap, not bother with her, forget the past, and look forward? I think I will eventually, but not now. So before getting on the plane, I sent a text message to Betty. Today's your second interview, right? Did you contact your advisor beforehand? Are you well prepared? Do you want Betty to come cheer you on in person? After sending it, I turned off my phone, then I boarded the plane, put on my eye mask, and fell asleep. 2 hours later, the plane landed. I boarded the prearranged business car and opened my phone. Aside from some company messages and emails, there were 2 missed calls from Betty. Along with several text messages she had sent, I ignored them, first checking into the hotel and then holding a brief meeting with the team. It wasn't until dinner time in the afternoon that I finally opened Betty's messages. Whatever it is, let's talk face to face after I'm done. You've already broken up with your senior, yet you're still clinging like this. Don't you think that's going too far? Please, I've been preparing for grad school since junior year. This means everything to me, more than life itself. The most recent text, sent 30 minutes ago. Ashley, you're ruthless. I took a sip of the soup. It seems the retest is over, and it didn't go very well. After that meeting, I roughly figured out Betty's personality: sensitive yet competitive, stubborn yet fragile, somewhat clever, but life has been too smooth. She hasn't weathered enough storms. Like a vase, proudly beautiful where it stands, yet utterly fragile. I smiled and sent her a text. On a business trip, just got off the plane. Did your second interview go well? It's just green tea. Anyone can do it. A moment later, Betty replied, Ashley, since you're so keen on me and my senior being together, then so be it. He's with me now, cheering me up, and tonight, we'll have a wonderful evening. Since you've broken up, I hope you'll stop bothering him, and stop bothering me. I blacklisted her with a backhand and ignored her. I hope she truly likes her senior, and isn't just acting out of spite, but that's no longer my concern. During the period of dealing with the broken engagement and breakup, I found it best to keep busy. Being busy makes you forget everything and helps you calm down. Now that it's all handled, I've suddenly entered a withdrawal period. I moved houses. One night, I came home, turned on the light, and the first thing I said was, Bartley, I'm home, receiving no response. I was stunned for a few seconds before realizing I was alone in the house. Another example, one afternoon at 5 o'clock, I took out my phone, scrolled through WeChat to find that person's account, and asked them what they were having for dinner today. I scrolled for a long time, but couldn't find the familiar profile picture. Suddenly, I remembered we had already broken up. Habit, especially an 8-year habit, is a terrifying thing. I must begin to establish new habits. Watching movies alone, cooking alone, a person walking alone, a person's home. Sometimes I want to slap myself. Ashley, aren't you pathetic? He hurt you so much, yet you still love him, still think about him. Later, I gradually understood. It's not that I still love this scumbag, it's that I love the person I was in that relationship. Later, the black-hearted boss actually did introduce me to a quality man. I wasn't averse to meeting them, I met two, but neither was satisfactory. My best friend also said that the best way to end one relationship is to dive into the next. She told me not to be so busy with work all the time, to join more outdoor activities and meet more people. Before I knew it, 3 months had passed. After work, I called my best friend. "Did you get the bag?" I asked while driving. My bestie was clearly overjoyed. "How did you know I've been eyeing this Mayumia bag? Love you to bits." "Ah, I'm so obsessed with it," I smiled gently. "As long as you like it." "Want to go hiking this weekend?" She hesitated coyly. "Well, I'm actually going to a farm stay with my husband this weekend." A pang of disappointment flickered through me, but I laughed it off. "Have fun then." "Gotta go now, I'm driving." "Wait," my best friend quickly called out to me. "How about meeting that guy I introduced you to last week this weekend? He's a police officer, usually super busy, and rarely gets time off." The light turned green, and I stepped on the accelerator. "Forget it," I said, turning the steering wheel onto another street. "If I'm not going hiking this weekend, I'll go back to my hometown and stay with my mom for a couple of days. It's been a while since I've seen her." My friend grumbled for a while, then said, "Don't hit me for saying this, but I've already made plans with him." Huh. I was taken aback. "What do you mean, already arranged? Who is this person?" My best friend was clearly excited. "This is the guy I introduced you to 2 years ago. He's a distant relative on my husband's side, comes from a really good family, super handsome, 187, 20-pack abs." I let out a chuckle. 20-pack abs, he'd be a washboard then. My best friend chuckled. "Anyway, that's the gist of it, and wouldn't you know it, when you and Bartley got back together, I didn't see him. He later started dating someone, and just like you two, their parents met, they even got engaged, but then the girl dumped him." I frowned. "Don't tell me he's another jerk who did something to wrong the girl." My best friend tutted. "You're really traumatized by Bartley. He's a jerk, but that doesn't mean all men are jerks. I heard from my husband that the girl had issues and broke up with him unilaterally." I hummed, not really caring about this person's story, and parked the car by the roadside, ready to head to the gym. As soon as I unbuckled my seatbelt, my best friend on the other end said, "So it's settled then?" I just messaged him, telling him you're free this weekend. I reacted, "What do you mean I'm free? I don't even know what he looks like or what his name is." My best friend slapped her forehead. "Oh, my brain. His name is Daniel." Ding, a photo was sent over. I clicked on it and saw it was a passport-sized ID photo. He was indeed very handsome. Most people send heavily edited, beautiful photos to potential blind dates, but he sent an ID photo. Quite the character. Actually, I didn't really want to go. I thought of all sorts of excuses, and finally told my best friend my stomach hurt and I might need to go to the hospital for an 4 drip. My best friend saw right through it in a second. "Bullshit, we've already made plans here. If you don't go, then I'll bring him to the hospital to keep you company while you get your 4. Unbelievable. What else could I do? Go, of course. I put on some light makeup and a decent dress, then drove over. I arrived right on time, just as we'd agreed. Actually, finding passport photo guy was quite easy. The hot pot restaurant wasn't crowded, and everyone else seemed normal. Only the man in the northeast corner, wearing a black casual hoodie, habitually glanced left and right while looking at his phone. I squinted my eyes to take a closer look. He was much more handsome in person than in photos, somewhat resembling that recently popular Idol star, though in a more rugged version. He quickly spotted me and snapped his fingers while raising his hand to signal his location. That kinda killed the vibe. I walked over with a smile, stepping gracefully in my 10-centimeter stilettos. "Hello," I extended my hand confidently. "I'm Ashley." The man stood up. He was so tall, my best friend said he was 187 centimeters, but he seemed well over 190 centimeters to me. The man took my hand politely and courteously. "Hello, Daniel." I glanced casually. His hand was large, with distinct knuckles, slender and attractive. The veins on the back were visible, suggesting considerable strength. Daniel gestured toward the opposite seat with his chin. "Please have a seat." I sat down and had just placed my bag aside. Daniel said coldly, Ashley, you're 3 minutes late, alright?" I admit I went to the mall's restroom to touch up my makeup before entering the store. I chuckled. There was a bit of traffic today. "Daniel," I checked. "The traffic from Ashley's home to this mall is good at this time. How are we supposed to continue this conversation?" I wanted to leave, so I gave a dry laugh and secretly set an alarm on my phone. Daniel, sitting opposite me, scanned the QR code to order and asked, "What kind of hot pot do you want?" "Whatever," I said. Not planning to stay long, then a half and half hot pot. Daniel asked again. Any allergies to certain dishes or meats? No. Daniel quickly finished ordering and poured me a glass of water. I ordered a few of my favorite dishes. MS. Ashley can scan the QR code to add more if you like. I smiled. No need. Mr. Daniel, I'll eat whatever you order. Just call me Daniel. Alright, Daniel. A silence fell, a little awkward. Daniel sat up straight, watching me quietly. His gaze was calm and sharp, as if it could see through one's very soul. I felt a little unwell and lightly coughed. Mr. Lou, are you usually busy with work? Daniel, yes, very. I asked casually. Busy with what? Daniel, I'm sorry, I can't disclose that. Another silence. I lit up my phone and checked the time. There were still 8 minutes until my alarm. Just then, the waiter brought over the hot pot and dishes. Daniel adjusted the heat and asked me, do you want to mix the dipping sauce? Me, no, thank you. Daniel murmured a no, then used the serving chopsticks to stir the spicy hot pot base. He glanced at me. Who's in your family? MS. Ashley. I took a sip of water. My mom, my brother and his wife, and my nephew. The hot pot heated up quickly. Daniel put some vegetables in to cook and asked, I heard from Bella that you and your ex-husband. I choked on my water, pulling out a napkin to cover my mouth as I coughed. I'm not married, I'm sorry. Daniel offered a stiff apology. What was the reason you broke up with your ex? I was already quite annoyed. He cheated. Daniel asked again. How did you find out? Can you describe it in detail? I organized my thoughts, ready to speak, but then felt something was off. We just met. What right did I have to say anything? I'm sorry, that's my private business. Having said that, I turned the tables. Mr. Lou, I'm not a criminal. I have no obligation to cooperate with your questions. Daniel smiled. Just getting to know each other. MS. Ashley doesn't need to worry too much. I took a deep breath. What about Mr. Lou? I heard from Bella that you and your ex-wife also broke up. Whose fault was it? Daniel's expression was stern. First, ex-fiancé. Second, I don't want to talk about it. MD, can I just lose my temper and get angry now? He asked me, and I answered. I asked him, and he refused. What kind of person is that? Just then, my alarm clock rang. I pulled out my phone and pretended to answer a call. Hello, Mr. Charles. Oh, I'm out eating. Now, that document is urgent. Alright, I'm coming back now. I picked up my bag, shrugged apologetically at Daniel, covered the phone and whispered, the boss asked me to work overtime. Sorry about this. After just one step, Daniel snorted. You answered an alarm clock, didn't you? Me. I froze. Huh, so embarrassing. I could feel my face burning and ears turning red. No different from when my homeroom teacher grilled me about bringing a phone to school. I swore up and down that I didn't have one. Then the phone rang. Daniel glanced at my phone. Your screen just lit up. I saw it. I raised an eyebrow and smiled, lifting my phone. Oops, you caught me. Do you know why? Daniel actually thought for 2 seconds. You don't want to continue the blind date. I snapped my fingers at him. Yeah, you guessed it. CYA. Daniel picked up his chopsticks and fished a slice of fatty beef from the pot. Alright, take care. Seriously. So infuriating. I left without looking back, and as soon as I was out of the restaurant, I called my best friend. What kind of monster did you set me up with? As I walked, I launched into my tirade, interrogating me like a criminal, digging into my background. Am I that close with him? And he has zero emotional intelligence. I'm a girl. Since he knew I set an alarm, it meant I didn't want to keep eating with him, and he still pointed it out. Who was embarrassed? Wasn't it him? What kind of person is that? My best friend quickly soothed me. I'm sorry. My dear, you've been wronged. I'll have my husband scold him later. I took a deep breath. Forget it. I'm not going to bother with someone like that. My best friend chuckled. Alright, next time I'll definitely introduce you to someone gentle and refined. I put my hands on my hips. There won't be a next time. After hanging up, I glanced at my watch. 5:30. Still early. I'd just be sitting around if I went back. Forget it. I'll go have a drink. This lounge is members only. Quiet, and has a good atmosphere. I put on my Bluetooth headphones, ready to watch a movie. This is one of my favorite activities during my detox period, having a few drinks. Watching a movie for a while, then heading home and crashing straight into bed. I had just found a comedy when my phone suddenly vibrated. Someone requested to add me, with a note. Betty, got some juicy gossip for you. This is my private account, not many people know about it. I was bored, so I clicked accept. The other person was clearly a new account, no posts, just a generic landscape photo for the profile picture. After waiting a few minutes, there was no response. I ignored it. Took a sip of wine, and got ready to watch the movie. Who knew the other party would send me a few photos? I clicked on them, and they were Bartley's Moments screenshots. The first one seemed to be a candid shot from a short video. taken from a distance and quite blurry, appearing to be in a study room. Bartley and Betty were sitting together. He kissed Betty, and Betty didn't pull away. The second picture, Bartley and Betty are holding hands. The timestamp shows it was over 3 months ago. With a caption, "Meeting you, I realized fate was on my side. Let those bad people and things drift away with the wind. I truly, truly love you, my girl." The third screenshot from their moments, Betty is wearing a graduation gown, leaning on Bartley, with the caption, "Congratulations on your graduation, my girl, for the rest of our lives, it's all about you." I felt a churning in my stomach, desperately wanting to vomit, so I quickly drank half a glass of wine to settle it. Just then, the whistleblower sent me a message. "Hello Betty, don't get me wrong, I'm not Dr. So-and-so, and certainly not that little green tea. I'm just a passerby. Actually, I've been wanting to say a few words to Betty for a long time, but never got the chance. Recently, seeing that certain PhD successfully proposed to his new girlfriend, I couldn't hold back anymore. First of all, Betty, congratulations on escaping this deep pit. That certain PhD may look respectable, but is actually quite the flirt. To my knowledge, he's hit on at least 2 junior female classmates. 2 years ago during their research group's dinner gathering when they went karaoke, he took a phone number from some random girl. Within days, I saw him having meals with that girl. As for whether they did other things at night, I don't know. P.S. That girl wasn't Betty. Betty was even more disgusting. She kept coming to the lab to see him after your engagement, claiming she needed help with questions. Once, I saw a certain PhD student explaining math to her, then kissed her, and she didn't pull away. I don't know if Betty was heartbroken after your breakup. All I can say is, congratulations Betty for dodging a bullet. No need to shed a single tear for that scumbag. Alright, I won't bother you anymore. I'm deleting you. I wish you happiness in the future. I stared at the messages, one after another, and for a moment, I couldn't quite process them. By the time I tried to message the informant, I found that they had already deleted me. I guess the informant must be Bartley's fellow disciple. From the looks of it, Bartley and Betty had been intimate, and it was around the time of our engagement. What's even more disgusting is that Bartley not only flirted with Betty, but also very likely had relations with other women. My vision went black again and again. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone and dialed the number I'd memorized for 8 years. Intending to confront him, I paused before pressing the green call button. We had already broken up. Even if he admitted it, it wouldn't matter. I had the waiter open a bottle of wine and drank several glasses. Honestly, it was more disgusting than swallowing a fly. I drank too much. The lounge manager offered to call me a designated driver, but I refused. I wanted to clear my head, to get some air. Why? Just when my wounds are about to heal, someone always comes along and rips off the scab. I'd had too much to drink and was a little unsteady on my feet, so I just took off my high heels and walked barefoot, crying as I walked. Bastard, scumbag. The phone rang. As soon as I picked up, my best friend anxiously asked, "Ashley, are you okay? Why haven't you answered any of my calls?" I squatted on the ground and cried out loud. My best friend quickly asked, "What's wrong? Did that guy, Daniel, make you angry?" "I'll have old Cliff call and scold him right now." I was crying so hard I couldn't catch my breath. "Bartley is marrying Betty, my bestie. Your voice sounds off. Have you been drinking? Getting drunk over that jerk? It's not worth it." "Babe, no," I shrieked, exasperated. "I just found out today that he hooked up behind my back. Not Betty. It was another woman." Silence filled the phone line. My best friend gritted her teeth. "That bastard." I burst into tears. "Bella, I'm so miserable, betrayed, unloved. I'm so miserable." My best friend quickly comforted me. No, you're not miserable. You still have me. Where are you? I'll come pick you up." I shook my head. "I don't know. I don't even know where I am," my best friend said softly. "Then send me your location. And don't wander off." I sent her my location and sat on the curb, crying. After crying for a while, I felt much clearer. I put on my shoes, stumbled to my feet, and walked towards the bridge. Leaning against the railing, the cool breeze brought considerable comfort. I consoled myself, better to find out now than after marriage. It's fine. It's all in the past. Just then, the sound of a car horn came from behind me. Turning around, I saw an off-road vehicle parked by the roadside, and an exceptionally tall man stepping out. Wait, who was that again? Oh right, that guy I met today. Now I'm even more annoyed. "What are you doing?" Daniel stood before me, sniffed the air, and asked with a cold expression, "Drinking in the middle of the night? Planning to jump in the river? Fuck off." I ignored him and walked away. Daniel followed behind me. "Bella called me and gave me an earful. If I offended you with my words today, I can apologize, but you drinking excessively and engaging in dangerous behavior because of it is just stupid. Enough already, I yelled at him. Stop flattering yourself, this has nothing to do with you. Daniel sneered. Oh, so it's because of your ex. Even dumber. Clutching my tight chest, I turned to leave, only to twist my ankle. A strong hand grabbed my arm. Let go, I said coldly. You can't stand steady. Daniel pulled me toward the car. I'll take you to your best friend's place. Come on, I tried to pull my hand back. Mind your own business. He gripped even tighter. I couldn't take it anymore and stepped forward, grabbing him by the collar, ready to flip him over my shoulder. But he didn't budge an inch. Turning my head, I saw a mocking smile on the man's face. Furious, I let go of him, lost my balance, and landed hard on my backside. Awkward, so awkward. Daniel reached out to pull me up. You just assaulted an officer. I slapped his hand away, provocatively. Then arrest me, Daniel smiled, bending down to help me. Alright, Ashley, stop messing around, I'll take you home. Suddenly, I remembered the photos the whistleblower sent me, and in a fit of anger, I spoke without thinking. Hey, Mr. Daniel, fancy a sleepover? No sooner had I said it than I regretted it, cursing myself for spouting nonsense after a few gulps of booze. I was just about to tell Daniel not to take it seriously, that I was just in a bad mood and making a joke. To my surprise, he considered it seriously for a few seconds, then hummed. Alright, 3 a.m., I lay naked on the bed, with a semi-stranger behind me. Now I was completely sober, and my memory was exceptionally clear. I covered my face. Oh my God, what have I done? Everything that had happened in the past few hours was utterly shameful to recall. I remember getting into his car. Neither of us spoke the entire way, not when we entered the complex, not in the elevator, not at my door. Once inside my apartment, I was about to say, it's too late, you should go home. He was the first to ask me, shall we start directly, or do you want to shower first? Once again, I spoke without thinking, let's just start. No sooner had the words left my mouth than he pulled me into his embrace, and a rough, intensely predatory kiss swept over me, leaving me almost breathless. He paused for a moment, his voice low and hoarse. How tall are you? My mind reeled from the kiss. 163. He chuckled softly, a bit short. I bristled. What? He immediately kissed me again. I have to bend over a lot when we kiss. It's uncomfortable. I scoffed. What, Mr. Daniel? Your back isn't good. He bit me. Whether my back is good or not, you'll find out soon enough. Good, I know, for the rest of the time. I woke up and fainted and woke up, crying incessantly. But I have to admit, damn, that was good, and her figure was amazing. The man behind me cleared his throat. I quickly closed my eyes, pretending to be fast asleep. The man tucked the quilt around me, pulled me close, and went back to sleep. I didn't dare move, feeling inexplicably cheerful for some reason. When I woke again, it was already 8 o'clock the next morning. My head throbbed painfully, my body ached, and the space behind me was completely empty. Could they be in the living room? I put on my clothes, but the moment my feet touched the floor, my legs gave way, and I collapsed to my knees. I took a moment to steady myself, then stood up while supporting my aching back. Stepping out of the bedroom, I found the space outside empty and quiet. That person was gone. For some inexplicable reason, I felt a pang of loss, but shrugged it off. Just another game adults play, nothing more. Suddenly, my gaze was drawn to the food on the dining table. On the table were a carton of milk, for steamed buns, and a small dish of pickles. Beneath the milk lay a note with neat, bold handwriting, MS. Ashley, I had team matters to attend to, so I left first. This is breakfast I bought for you, heat it up before eating. I crumpled the piece of paper in my hand. MS. Ashley, what an unfamiliar form of address. Never mind, we were barely acquainted strangers to begin with. I tossed the note into the trash bin. Opening my phone, I saw a flurry of messages from my best friend, asking how I was and to call her back once I sobered up. I called her. Hello, my best friend said anxiously. My dear. You finally picked up, I chuckled. I just woke up, feeling guilty. I cleared my throat and awkwardly asked, how did Daniel end up picking me up last night? My best friend replied, when you sent me your location, my old Cliff was on the phone with Daniel. It was a coincidence. He was near the bridge, and we figured since he's a detective, it would be best for him to take you home. That guy, he wasn't too keen on it at first. Oh, by the way, Ashley. Did he say anything nasty to you again? My face burned. Not really, worried my best friend would catch on. I quickly added, he thinks I'm short. My best friend fumed. You're not short at all, ignore him. After hanging up, I smiled, pressing my lips together. Soon I couldn't laugh anymore. There was a meeting on Monday morning. Damn it, I was terribly late. I quickly washed up and rushed to the company. By the time I finished handling various matters, it was already noon. I rubbed my aching shoulders and neck, opened my phone, and found that someone with a basketball star as their avatar had sent me over 20 pictures of food. Then this person asked, "Excuse me, what are we having for lunch?" I don't remember when I added this person. Oh, I used to order takeout from restaurants in the business district near the company. It's probably some owner promoting their place. So annoying. No, thank you, I replied. The boss instantly sent back, "Okay, sorry to bother you." I continued working. As the afternoon drew to a close, nearing quitting time, the restaurant owner with the soccer star avatar sent me over 20 more photos, asking like a robot, "What would you like for lunch this afternoon? I can bring it over." I was already a bit annoyed. "Busy, not eating, do not disturb." "Thank you." The other side replied, "Okay, sorry to bother you." I blocked them immediately. Which restaurant is this? Posting 40 or 50 pictures a day? Are they insane? I brewed a cup of coffee and opened my call history. Yesterday, before meeting Daniel, I made a call and saved the number. Should I call him back? No way, why should I be the one asking him? It makes me look desperate, but then again, he really is the type to forget about someone the moment he zips up his pants. Maybe he's genuinely busy at work and doesn't have time to call me. 2 whole days passed without him reaching out to me. Damn, you really think I'm just a one-night stand? An inexplicable anger welled up inside me. Just then, my assistant knocked on the door and entered carrying a small cardboard box. "President Chow, there's a same-city delivery for you, it just arrived." I quickly composed myself and smiled, saying, "Hand it over." The moment I saw the sender's name on the package, my face darkened. Betty. I wanted to toss it straight away, yet curiosity got the better of me about what she'd sent. Opening it revealed, oh, an invitation, Mr. Bartley and Ms. Betty requests the pleasure of Ms. Ashley's company at their wedding on July 20th. There was also a note that read, Ms. Ashley, I've forgotten all the unhappiness of the past. Both my senior and I wish to have your blessing. Oh, and I heard you're still single. How pathetic. Come to the wedding. Maybe we'll introduce you to a handsome groomsman. And at the very bottom, there was a smiley face drawn. How unlucky. Disgusting. Damn it. I was even more pissed off. My mind went blank. And I did another stupid thing. I dialed Daniel's number. It rang twice, and then he picked up. Hello. The voice on the other end was breathless. I regretted calling immediately. Are you busy? Just then, I heard an unfamiliar man's complaining voice from the other end of the line. Daniel, why are you running? You knocked over my water. Daniel cleared his throat twice and asked, Ms. Ashley, is there something you need? I took a deep breath. Are you free tonight? Daniel paused for a few seconds. What happened? Such a sharp man. I hesitated for 2 seconds. My ex-boyfriend is getting married. The woman sent me an invitation, mocked me for being single, and offered to introduce a groomsman to me. Daniel chuckled softly. So, you want to do it? I touched my slightly flushed face with the back of my hand. Well, Daniel, probably not tonight. I have something to do, I quickly said. Sorry to bother you. After speaking, I hung up the phone. How embarrassing. Utterly embarrassing. I was rejected. Whoa. I came home in the evening, did a face mask, and was just about to sleep. The phone rang. It was Daniel, somewhat surprised. I picked up. Hello, Daniel said in a deep voice. I'm downstairs at your place. Could you open the door for me? I froze for a moment before responding. Oh, okay, sure. After hanging up, I sprang to my feet immediately, quickly applying some color-correcting primer to brighten my complexion, deliberately adding blush and swiping on a youthful shade of lipstick. Once done, I unlocked the door. After a while, there was a knock at the door. I opened the door to see Daniel carrying a large bag full of groceries in his left hand and a paper bag in his right. Why are you carrying so much stuff? Daniel stepped inside and casually changed into slippers. I noticed your fridge was practically empty the other day, happened to pass by the supermarket, so thought I'd stock you up. I glanced at my phone. What supermarket is open at 11 at night? Suddenly, I realized I was wearing a nightgown, but no bra, which was quite obvious. Awkward. Daniel evidently noticed too, and cleared his throat. Have you eaten? He asked. Yes, I replied. Do you want to eat more? I can make a late-night snack. He asked again. I'll get fat. No thanks, I replied once more. Daniel raised the bag. Then I'll put it in the fridge for you. I stepped aside, making way. Okay. He busied himself in the kitchen. I quickly went back to the bedroom and put on a bra. When he came out, he had already put away the dishes. Our eyes met, and we both felt a little awkward. I gestured towards the bathroom with my chin. You go wash up first. Daniel curled his lips. I already showered at the dorm. Me. Oh, the atmosphere felt like it could ignite at any moment. I said another foolish thing. Why don't you wash again? I needed some time for mental preparation. Daniel took my hand. Let's go together. Then things started to take a strange turn. The bathroom, the living room sofa, the bedroom, and finally back to the bathroom. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning by bedtime. I finally discovered what was in his paper bag, his pajamas and daily necessities like a razor. You're quite well prepared, kid. We lay on the bed, entering the post-coital clarity. By now, we should have evolved from semi-strangers to acquaintances. I couldn't help but laugh. Daniel's voice was low and gentle. What's wrong? I wrapped my arms around his waist, giving his abs a playful squeeze. Last time you checked my background. Now it's my turn to interrogate you. How did you and your ex break up? Daniel remained silent for a few seconds. Her white moonlight returned home. She left me at the engagement party and walked away with that person. I teased. Never thought Mr. Daniel reads novels too. Forget it if you don't want to talk. Daniel gritted his teeth. It's true. Holy shit. I lay on his chest, staring at his face. TSK TSK TSK. That white moonlight must have been incredibly handsome for your ex to actually leave you. Daniel snorted. She's very ordinary looking, but she's a PhD from a prestigious university. My ex said she doesn't care about looks. She wants a deep fusion of heart and soul. Damn that PhD. I rolled my eyes too, joining in the cursing. Damn that PhD. We exchanged glances and both burst out laughing. I guess we were both kindred spirits. No need for prior acquaintance when meeting in such circumstances, I asked curiously. So, after you broke up with your ex, how many times have you dated? Daniel shook his head. Work is very busy, no time for dating. I hummed in understanding, then bravely asked, so, how many times have you been on a date? Daniel stared intently at me. Once. Just you. My heart inexplicably began to beat very fast. Daniel asked, what about you? Have you dated anyone since your breakup? I answered truthfully. My black-hearted boss tried to set me up, and I did go out for dinner a few times, but I didn't like any of them. You're the first one I've had a deep conversation with. Daniel's lips curved upwards, and he held me even tighter. I smiled. We're already so familiar with each other. Let's exchange WeChat IDs. Daniel pouted. I did add you, but you deleted me the day before yesterday. I sat bolt upright. What the hell? I smacked my forehead and pointed at him incredulously. Now I remember. Aren't you that basketball star profile picture guy who spammed me with dozens of food photos? Daniel nodded, extending his long arm to the bedside table to pick up his phone. He opened WeChat and showed me his account. Huh, so it really is him. I was even more surprised. When did I add you? Daniel raised an eyebrow. 2 years ago. Bella said her best friend had just broken up and wanted to introduce us, so she gave me your WeChat. I swallowed hard. Oh my god, I actually added him 2 years ago. At this moment, Daniel also sat up, pinched my chin, and pretended to sound threatening. By the way, why did you delete me? I raised my hands in surrender. I thought you were a restaurant owner near the company. You sent me dozens of photos right away and asked if I wanted to eat. I found it annoying. So I blocked you. Daniel clearly had a hint of amusement in his eyes as he muttered. So that's why. I thought you were the type to forget someone after getting what you wanted. I heard clearly but asked deliberately. Say what? Daniel, nothing. Go to sleep. I'm wide awake now. Can't sleep. Daniel placed his hand on my waist and suggested, how about another round then? I closed my eyes. I'm dead. Daniel. Ha ha ha. Daniel and I have established a stable relationship. We're both busy with work, so we don't cling to each other every day. Whenever he has free time, he takes the initiative to cook for me, and is really quite skilled at it, and when I feel empty or lonely, I just send him a 111. He immediately understood and replied 000, bought condoms, and came over for full service. Gradually, he left more and more things at my place: socks, underwear, toothbrush, spare clothes, laptop. Sometimes on weekends, we'd go hiking or watch movies. But more often we'd just stay home and fool around. 2 months passed like this, and we grew increasingly accustomed to each other's rhythms. I've realized something. Neither of us has defined our relationship. Are we friends, friends with benefits, or something else? I think I should ask for clarification. If he only sees me as a short-term bedmate, then I need to make a decision sooner rather than later. Mid-September arrived quickly, and Daniel and I both participated in the marathon. I decided I would get to the bottom of it today. The sky was overcast, as if brewing a rainstorm. Daniel wore sunglasses and a short-sleeved athletic top, his two powerful, long legs particularly eye-catching, making him appear even more dashing and handsome. I took out the sunscreen I had prepared beforehand and applied it to my arms and neck. Let me help you. Daniel naturally took the sunscreen and applied it to the back of my neck, chuckling. You haven't forgotten the running tips I taught you, have you? I waved my hand. Hey, for me it's all about participation. You just focus on winning. Daniel said earnestly. The ranking isn't important. Finishing the whole race together, that means a lot. My heart quickened. What's the point? Just then, a staff member walked over, shouting into a megaphone, "Time's almost up, athletes. Please get ready. Seriously, why start now of all times? Not earlier, not later." But precisely at this moment, Daniel and I joined the queue, getting ready to take our positions. The gunshot rang out, and the athletes began to run, some fast, some slow. With something on my mind, I jogged at a leisurely pace. Daniel ran alongside me, keeping pace. I chuckled, "You don't have to stick with me. I might be getting my period soon, so I'm not feeling great. I'll be running very slowly today." Daniel ruffled my hair. "It's fine. The marathon is long. I have good stamina. I can totally make a comeback in the middle and latter stages. For now, I'll jog slowly with you." I turned to look at him, my mind a jumble of emotions. TSK, he's so handsome, completely my type. What if he really just sees me as a bedmate? What if one day he suddenly tells me he's found true love and we should stop seeing each other? What then? I sighed. What can you do? The world won't stop turning just because someone's gone. Daniel asked softly, "What's wrong? Ashley, you seem preoccupied. Is something not going well at work?" "It's all right." I adjusted my posture and glanced sideways at him. "Last night I saw you standing on the balcony making a phone call. It went on for quite a while." "Who was it?" Daniel said bluntly. "My ex is coming back to the country." My heart skipped a beat, growing increasingly uneasy. After running silently for 10 minutes, I asked, "What did your ex contact you for after returning to the country?" Daniel scoffed. "She divorced her white moonlight and wants to get back with me." I couldn't process his words immediately, tripped over my own feet, and fell flat on my face. My knee was scraped, bleeding slightly. Sitting on the ground, I grimaced in pain. Daniel crouched beside me, hastily examining my wound. Just then, a roadside volunteer approached carrying a medical kit. "Is the young lady all right?" The volunteer took out saline solution and iodine, preparing to inspect my injury. "It's okay." I looked at Daniel and gave an apologetic smile. "I'm afraid I can't run anymore. Don't worry about me, hurry to your race." Daniel took the saline solution from the volunteer and helped me clean the wound. "It's not an important race anyway, so don't run." His technique was very professional. After cleaning, he disinfected it with povidone iodine and then applied a dressing. I looked at him, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. He had gone as far as getting engaged to his ex. So their feelings must have been deep. My ex-boyfriend initiated a reconciliation, but I don't know if he. Just then, Daniel took my arm and helped me up. "How are you, Ashley? Can you still walk?" I tried to take a couple of steps. It hurt a little. "I can." I thanked the volunteer and gritted my teeth. Pushing forward, suddenly, Daniel crouched in front of me. I was startled. "What are you doing?" Daniel patted his own back with a reverse hand. "To carry you. Come on up." I glanced around. There were a lot of people on the roadside, and I felt quite embarrassed. "Never mind, I can still walk. Why are you trying to be so tough?" Daniel simply carried me on his back. Sure enough, a chorus of cheers and catcalls erupted from the roadside. I grew even more embarrassed, turning my face to rest my head on his back. He was very clean. There were no strange smells on him, but rather a scent of sunshine and vanilla, which was very pleasant. I sighed. Daniel tilted his head slightly. "You've been off ever since I mentioned my ex. Tell me about it." Too perceptive. I hesitated for 2 seconds, then asked directly, "Would you ever get back with your ex?" Daniel didn't even think about it. "Of course not." I breathed a sigh of relief, then my lips curved into a smile, only to quickly become preoccupied again. I wrapped my arms around his neck. "Lozy, can we talk?" Daniel smiled. "All right, what do you want to talk about?" I pursed my lips. "I want to know how you see our relationship." Daniel raised an eyebrow slightly. "And you, how do you see it?" I cautiously observed his expression. "I want to know if we're friends, or bed partners, or something else. This is very important to me. It will determine my future life plans." Daniel stopped dead in his tracks. I noticed his face suddenly turned dark. It was terrifying. What's wrong?" I asked timidly. Daniel was clearly holding his breath. "I always thought we were in a relationship." I was shocked. "Since when did you think that?" Daniel puffed his cheeks. "That blind date night." He practically spat out those last 2 words. "Well then," Daniel turned his head with a laugh. "So I thought we were dating, while you thought we were just hanging out." My heart feels like fireworks bursting inside as I tightly wrap my arms around his neck. Giggling hee. Daniel snorted coldly. I kissed him on the cheek. The corners of his lips couldn't help curling upward, yet he still maintained a stern face, still very angry though. I leaned in and whispered in his ear. "I bought some super sexy lingerie." His grin stretched all the way to his temples. "All right, I forgive you. That day, Daniel carried me on his back for the entire marathon. I think I know why. Why did he insist on running the entire race with me from the very beginning? That evening, Daniel and I officially announced we were together. My best friend called immediately, demanding we treat her to a matchmaker's celebration dinner. Arrangements. Being in a truly healthy relationship can indeed transform you from the inside out. Daniel and I are together, perfectly compatible in every way. Before we knew it, we'd been dating for half a year and had met each other's parents. By year's end, we got our marriage certificate, with the wedding planned for the following year. On Christmas Day, we went to take our wedding photos. While getting my makeup done, feeling idle, I opened Twitter to browse some gossip. Suddenly, I remembered that years ago, to follow a celebrity and help my favorite idol with data, I had applied for a secondary account. That secondary account was still mutually followed with my ex. It's quite nostalgic, really. The breakup with Bartley and that long withdrawal period afterward felt like something from a past life. It turned out I hadn't cried for him in a long time. In fact, I hadn't even thought of him in a long time. I logged into my secondary account, and the back end showed 99 plus messages. I clicked on them and saw that most were private messages from Bartley. I scrolled up, and the first private message was from March, when we had a terrible falling out and had just broken up. Bartley, Ashley. No man would ever want a woman with your personality. Ashley is 1,000 times, 10,000 times better than you, younger, prettier. I hope the next time we meet is when one of us dies. No, you'll definitely die before me, I scoffed coldly, deciding not to look further, but bored and idle. Curiosity got the better of me about what else he'd cursed me with. There were several private messages from late March. Betty when she failed her postgraduate entrance exam interview. Ashley, aren't you ashamed of bullying a girl in her early 20s? Let me tell you, we're together now. Being young really makes a difference, especially, fresh. It also included a photo of him kissing Betty. I looked on in disgust, dry heaving a few times. Scrolling further down, in April, he had sent me several drunken voice messages. They were too long, so I chose to listen to the last one, which was 3 seconds. Ashley, I miss you. I let out a cold laugh. There was also a lot of news in May and June. Ashley, I know you've given up on this account, but I won't. This is my only way to contact you. It's strange. Right after we broke up, I hated you so much. I wished you were dead. But as time went on, I calmed down and suddenly started missing you. One day I came home, and as I was changing my shoes, I subconsciously called out, I'm home. Betty heard about it then, and she made a scene with me, cutting her wrists and drinking heavily. I'm so afraid of her. You wouldn't be like that. You're always beautiful and elegant, confident and generous, handling everything perfectly. I looked at these messages. At the time, he adored that white moonlight, but once he actually plucked it, he found her too cold. I continued to scroll down. Ashley, Betty is pregnant. You know, I really wanted to push her off the building, to make her lose the baby. I knew her plan. Her mother was sick, and she needed a stable family and a resentful fool to continuously give her money. I suggested that since we're still young, we shouldn't have children just yet. She confronted me, asking if I still had feelings for you. I didn't dare say yes, because she's like a ticking time bomb, always on the verge of exploding. I'm about to graduate. I can't let her ruin my future. We bought a tiny house, just 2 bedrooms, but still had to keep one empty for her parents. Every time I come home and see her mother, I go crazy. I keep wishing she'd just die already, but she stubbornly clings to life. I know I'm already sick, but I can't control myself. These messages sent a chill down my spine. My judgment of him at the time was quite accurate. Why was he flirting with Betty while relentlessly pursuing me? Because I was his optimal choice. Romance and luxury are built on a foundation of material comfort. Once only daily necessities remain. His feelings for his girl will be nothing but accumulated resentment. I continued reading. In July, Bartley posted a wedding photo. In the picture, Betty smiled sweetly and happily, and Bartley was also smiling, but his eyes held a cold indifference. Ashley, I don't want to marry her anymore. Just say the word, that you don't want your studies, don't want anything, and I'll leave with you right away. Ashley, I love you. Please forgive me. Tomorrow, I'll come find you. My heart skipped a beat. Bartley actually looked for me. I quickly read on. The next day's message, Bartley sent a photo, and in the photo was Daniel. Ashley, I came to find you. I snuck into your new neighborhood. I didn't dare disturb your rest, so I sat downstairs all night. Then, the next morning, I saw him. I saw you two come out holding hands. Is he your new boyfriend? Can you tell me what he does? Does he treat you well? Tell me, this is important to me. I frowned and scrolled down. August had sent quite a few messages too. Ashley, I called Bella to ask about you, But she wouldn't say. She warned me not to disturb your peaceful life. Ashley, are you happy? I'm not happy at all. Betty is getting older, her temper isn't good, she's very willful. And now I'm the only one earning money for the family. I'm so tired. I let out a cold laugh. There wasn't much news in September. Bartley posted a photo of Daniel carrying me on his back. Then came another dozen or so 60-second voice messages. Couldn't be bothered to listen. In the end, he sent a text message. You two look great together. Sometimes I really wish I could turn back time, so that the man carrying you forward would be me, in October and November. He still complained mostly about Betty. In December, just a few days ago, he sent a message. Ashley, I heard you're getting married. Will you invite me? I'll never be worthy of you again in this lifetime. Could you at least let me watch you walk toward happiness? I frowned as I typed. Don't come, don't disturb me. Typed and then deleted. Finally, I deactivated this account. The next time he sends a private message, he should understand what I mean. At that moment, the makeup artist suddenly stopped, turned her head, and smiled. Oh, the groom is here. I turned to look. Daniel, in a sharp bespoke suit, strode towards me, carrying a paper bag. So handsome. My heart swelled with joy. Daniel stood beside me, looking down at me for a long time. My wife is so beautiful. I smiled and asked, did you just go buy food? Daniel lifted the bag. You wanted wontons, right? Here, then. He smiled and said to the staff, please have some milk tea, everyone, and please make my wife look like a goddess. The makeup artist, a woman of exceptional emotional intelligence, said, MS, Ashley is a goddess even without makeup. Daniel was quite pleased. Of course she is. I covered my mouth and chuckled. People, after marriage. Daniel and I seemed even sweeter than when we were dating. Whenever we had time, we'd go out to play. We traveled to many cities together and tasted countless delicious foods. I've also stayed in many hotels. And in the wilderness, we plan to have a child by the end of the year. I said goodbye to Bartley this August. Our mutual friend got married and invited me, and also invited him. I was holding Daniel's arm, discussing whether our next vacation should be to Sichuan to see Sangsing Dui, or to Henan to see the Yin ruins. We're both very interested in historical artifacts. Let's go to Sangsing Dui, I said. Daniel's eyes lit up. I've been wanting to see the bronze standing figure in person for ages. I agreed. Next time we go to Chengdu, we'll eat hot pot for days and nights. Daniel pinched my cheek. No way, that stuff's too intense. Your stomach isn't great. Just bear with it, I grumbled. We can get it less spicy. Daniel stood firm. Even mild hot pot in Chengdu is still very spicy. The month before, I had worked myself to the point of getting acute gastroenteritis, which had Daniel terribly worried. I've been drinking traditional Chinese medicine recently to regulate my stomach. And this guy has been particularly attentive to my diet. He loves hot pot, but he's been leading by example, forcing himself to give it up. I negotiated with him. I'll just take one bite when I go. Daniel put his arm around me. Not even half a bite. He probably saw how truly pitiful I was. And the guy relented. Then how about we rinse the food in boiling water before you eat it? I scoffed. I might as well just eat plain boiled vegetables then. We were laughing and joking when, all of a sudden, I saw Bartley. He stood at the entrance of the banquet hall, staring at me blankly. Beside him stood Betty. Betty was holding her child, a little heavier, probably due to looking after the baby, and much more worn out, but still quite delicate. Bartley started to step forward, but Betty grabbed him. Where are you going? I ignored them, linking arms with Daniel as we went to sign in and present our gift. Inside the banquet hall, we took seats on the groom's side. Ashley. Over here, my best friend, Bella, and her husband had arrived early and waved us over. After taking my seat, I smoothed down my skirt and whispered to my best friend, why do I feel like so many people are looking our way? My best friend covered her mouth and chuckled. In this whole venue, besides the bride and groom, you two are the most dazzling couple, handsome man, beautiful woman. She tapped my leg with her finger and subtly nodded her chin towards the side. I followed her gaze and saw Bartley and his wife sitting at the next table. Sis, don't be so obvious. My best friend tugged my sleeve, leaned in, and blinked. Want to hear some gossip? I perked up. About what? My friend glanced sideways at the next table. Last month, Bartley was detained. I was shocked. What happened to him? Did he and his wife get into a fight and end up at the police station? No, my best friend's face was alight with excitement. This scumbag cheated and got caught in a vice raid. He insists he's been in a relationship with the woman for 2 or 3 years and didn't know she was an escort. I remembered the message the whistleblower sent me last year, hinting that Bartley had booked a room with a girl he met at a KTV. It all made sense now. My best friend's face was full of disdain. I'm telling you, that saying is really true. when you find one cockroach, there's already a whole swarm in the house. This scumbag was flirting with Betty. It definitely wasn't the first time. See. I turned my head to look at the table next to us. Just then, my eyes met Bartley's. Bartley stood up slightly and gave me a sad smile. Betty threw her chopsticks directly onto the table, staring intently at Bartley. My best friend covered her mouth, stifling a laugh. No matter how rotten things are on the inside, you still have to put on a good front. You wouldn't believe it. Betty was practically glued to her husband today, pretending to be so affectionate, when in reality, they've had more than one fight at home. Everyone in our circle secretly laughs at Bartley and her. The music started, and the bride, holding a bouquet, slowly walked towards the groom. I turned to look at the table next to us. Betty and Bartley were still at it. Betty pinched Bartley's arm hard. Bartley stared straight ahead, veins bulging on his forehead from the pain, enduring it. I shook my head with a sigh. Betty, she could have had a different life, yet she chose the worst path. What does that have to do with me? I won't meddle in others' karma. I'll just guard my own happiness. I looked ahead. The MC on stage was witty and humorous, teasing the bride and groom, which drew hearty laughter from the guests. Just then, Daniel took my hand. I unconsciously leaned against him, our fingers intertwined, as we watched the ceremony together. The MC held the microphone to the groom's mouth. Tell us, do you love your wife? The groom roared. Yes. The MC then asked, does the bank hand over the wife? Groom, yes. The MC chuckled. All right, the groom may now kiss the bride. Cheers and applause erupted all around. Just then, Daniel suddenly leaned in and kissed my lips. Ashley, I love you so much. What a coincidence. Me too. The end.